page. I forgot to do that. Okay, now, listen, I've been looking at something and I just find it quite interesting actually, and that is the sovereign citizen. Every time I see one of these on YouTube, I cannot help but bust out and laugh. Now, listen, these people are serious about this, and they they act like well they're right. Every one of them act like they're right and we're wrong. What I don't understand about all of this is um now, when your cop pulls you over and you're handing out this paper, et cetera, right? And they're looking at it quickly and they're telling you, what is this, right? And then the people start talking and they're going, oh, law enforcement says, oh, okay, I know what this is, the sovereign citizen thing. So what I want to talk to you about today is where did this start? I mean, what is it? How did it start? And why do people think it's legal? That's what I want to know about this. So let's go ahead and get started on that. I'm going to get my fair use disclaimer up, and we'll go ahead and go from there. So let me pull it up really quick. I'm sorry, guys, let me pull it up. So fair use disclaimer. You get that on out there before we start showing videos and talking about news and talking about all the different things that go with the sovereign citizen. So this video may contain copyrighted material, the use of which has not been specifically authorized by the copyright owners. Okay? This content is made available for purposes such as criticism, commentary, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Under Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act, allowances is made for fair use for these purposes. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit educational personal use tips to the balance's favor in the use. All rights belong to their respective owners. No copyright infringement is intended. So there is our Copyright Act. Now, let's get back over here on what we started talking about, which is the sovereign citizen movement, which is crazy. So let me pull this up right now. Okay. Let's see. Now, I'm gonna pull up. Oh, it's over here. I gotta go get it from over here. Here we go. Okay. Let me get up here where I can see it. Okay, now. Okay, sovereign citizens, myth versus reality. That's pretty much what we're going to talk about over here today. Everybody, welcome to my little show today. I hope you've had a wonderful day. We're going to discuss one of the most fascinating and controversial legal movements in America. Okay, I want to know why did it start and who started it. That's what I want to know. The sovereign citizen movement. Some people claim they don't need a driver's license. Some people claim the courts have no authority over them. Others insist taxes are voluntary. And perhaps the most famous claim of all is, I'm not driving, I'm traveling. So we're going to examine where these beliefs came from and how they spread and why some people are attracted to them and why courts across America have consistently rejected this argument. Okay, so, myself, well, I don't ever get stopped, but except once, I've been stopped once. So I don't know if you've ever heard somebody use this or not. Anyway, so get back over here. Most people assume the sovereign citizen movement appeared just because of YouTube, but that's not exactly true, okay? It goes way back decades. This is not just now, this is decades ago where this started. So many researchers trace portions of this movement to an anti-tax group, right? Anti-government movements and organizations such as Posse Comitatus during the 1960s and 70s. I don't think I'm saying that exactly right, but it's spelled Comitatus. Comitatus, I guess, is what it's called. Let me go back over where I was. Now, okay, I wish my phone would stop doing that. Hang on a second, guys. Now, one influential figure often mentioned it in discussions about the movement is William Potter Gale. Now, followers promoted this idea that the county sheriffs were the highest legitimate law enforcement authority, but we know that's not true. Followers promoted this idea that the county sheriffs And many of these ideas evolved over time and merged with an anti-tax theory. I guess it's much like the dumping the tea. Remember that? As the internet expanded, these beliefs spread faster than ever. So what once required attending a seminar can now just be learned from videos and social media. So, okay, put it down. Put it. Okay. Now, let me pull this up over here. Okay, hold on just a second, guys. Now I'm going to show you something. I was like, okay, well, listen, they have their own guide as to how to do this. I thought that was very strange too. Let me pull this up for you so you can see what I'm talking about. And this is where they get all this paperwork and they go get it. They go get this paperwork notarized, and then I think that takes care of it. So to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to secure justice and fair treatment to all. What has that got to do with the sovereign citizen? Okay, so this is what it says on their little pamphlet, our mission. Okay, and it's at the Center on Extremism. All right, so let's get over here to the table of contents and start talking about what is the key point of the sovereign citizen. I mean, this is real. You've seen this on YouTube. You've seen people stopping and getting tickets. You've seen them get arrested. You've seen them getting pulled out of the car and everything else because they claim to be a sovereign citizen. So the sovereign citizen movement is a large anti-government extremist movement whose adherents believe that the government is the illegitimate product of a conspiracy that subverted the original law and lawful governments. They claim people can take steps to divorce themselves from the illegitimate government, after which it has no authority or jurisdiction. All right. Now, the sovereign citizens are known for their abstruse pseudo-legal arguments, as well as unusual behaviors such as inserting gratuitous punctuation marks in their names or just flouting motor vehicle regulations while proclaiming they are travelers, not drivers. Now, in the United States, sovereign citizens come in two main varieties. There's the traditional sovereign citizen or the Moorish sovereign citizen. Now, the Moorish sovereign citizens are primarily Black and often pepper stated sovereign citizens' beliefs with additional concepts or terminology derived from the Moorish Science Temple, a religious sect or other fringe Black groups or religious sects in America, right? Now, sovereign citizens engage in a large amount of criminal activity, including harassment, retaliation tactics, collectively known as paper terrorism, scams and frauds, sometimes large in scope, violence including armed standoffs, shootouts, murders, and terrorist plots. Now, sovereign citizens in recent years have been able to grow their movement by appealing to new audiences, including anti-vaxxers, QAnon adherents, and MAGA supporters. The movement has also spread extensively in jails and prisons around the country. Sovereign citizens have increased their international presence as well as spreading to a number of countries around the world. So it's not just in America. I mean, this ideology is now spread everywhere, which is kind of strange now, isn't it? So let me get this pulled back up and we'll just keep reading this really quick. Now, the origins and ideology of the sovereign citizen. Now, the sovereign citizen movement we've already read that part now. See, it evolved, let's talk about this for a second. They ignore laws, regulations, court orders, and taxes because they divorced themselves from what they claim is the legitimate tyrannical government. Now, the sovereign citizen is most common. It's the most common term, and it just refers to themselves, right? They may use also a variety of other self-descriptions, including American state national, state citizen, constitutionalist, free man or woman upon the land, or Moorish national, and many other different little names. This is what they do. The sovereign citizen movement evolved from ideas originally pioneered by two older anti-government movements, the tax protest movement and the Posse Comitatus movement. I'm sure I'm not saying that right. There's that little word. The tax protest movement began in the late 1960s and still exists today. Okay. Over the years, anti-government extremists have developed theories. Both movements have developed theories about the true nature of government. In the early United States, they claimed that humans had lived under God's law and the common law, not under the heavy hand of the statute law. Now, the Constitution and early American government, they said, enshrined these principles. But a conspiracy infiltrated and subverted the original government, the de jure government, replacing it with an illegitimate, tyrannical de facto government. Now, these conspirators replaced constitutional law and common law with commercial law, also referring to it as sovereign citizens, as Roman civil law, law merchant equity law, or maritime law and admiralty law. Now, I know that this is kind of wild. It's a little out there. It's a little crazy, but I find it kind of interesting. Myself, I would never attempt to do this. And when they talk about divorcing themselves from the American corporation, I saw that today, from the United States American Corporation. I just had to laugh. Now, sovereign citizens believe that in order to subjugate Americans, the conspiracy offers them privileges such as Social Security or driver's license. Now, which sovereigns claim were contracts in disguise designed to ensnare people into the commercial jurisdiction of the illegitimate government as subjects and slaves rather than citizens. So to use a license or permit or even zip codes is a voluntary surrender of one's sovereignty to the de facto government. Now, the 14th Amendment, they argue, even created a new category of citizenship. Citizens of the United States, which anyone could become by accepting a proffered contract. Most Americans unknowingly did so, delivering their own sovereignty into the hands of the conspiracy. So, I know, just bear with me here. So, let me get back to where I was. So they had the conspiracy. However, there was a way out. Some who learned that the truth could take certain steps, such as declarations or filings, and divorce themselves from the illegitimate government to return to God's law and the common law. Now, a man named John T. Saxon, here's an example. A Michigan sovereign citizen mailed notarized documents to his local police department in 2002, declaring that he was not a resident of any state under the 14th Amendment and hereby publicly disavows any contract from form, agreement, application, certificate, license, permit, or other documents which he may have signed, so that he could declare himself a sovereign citizen. Once someone took such steps, they were ostensibly immune to all the laws. In other words, they didn't have to follow the laws anymore because the government's not over them anymore. They were divorced from them, so they didn't have to follow them. It's too funny, I'm sorry. So they were immune from all of these laws, regulations, court orders, and taxes of the illegitimate de facto government. Now, the government no longer had any jurisdiction over them at all. They could ignore it. They could ignore it, and it dictates at will. So they could just choose to use it or not use it. From taxes to motor vehicle regulations to zoning restrictions, none of that mattered anymore. Now, here's the thing. You can see where this makes no sense at all. I know you can't. I know you can't. Because you go, what the hell? No, right? Okay. Now, hold on just a second here. Let me pull this back up over here. Oops, what happened to mine? Let me split my screen over here. Y'all hang on, bear with me just a second. I'm going to split the screen right here. All right, put that over there and go back over here. Now, he needs to scoot over some. Let me scoot this over so I can have both of these. Well, look at this. Now, this concept, now, a lot of this movement started in the mid-1980s, but the sovereign citizen theorists have continued to add new ideas and variations, making their beliefs and practices of the movement increasingly baroque. It's just complicated and ornate. A sovereign citizen theorist could come up with a new idea and spread it. If it proved popular, it became added to the lore of the movement, leading sovereigns to do more and more strange things, such as inserting punctuations in their name. Okay, so we all know that. Like they would be John Elmer or Marie Elizabeth, that kind of thing, or putting brackets around their name, or putting brackets around a zip code. I saw one today on YouTube, and they were like, well, I don't really have an address. but I live in an area. I thought to myself, what are you saying to this cop, silly? Anyway. So a sovereign citizen's signature must include not just the name, but also a uniform commercial code reference, a Latin phrase or two, and a red inked thumbprint, and even a postage stamp. At their most extreme, some sovereign citizens adopt an alternative English syntax dubbed quantum grammar. Now, making their writings almost incomprehensible, simply because one sovereign citizen theorist, which is David Wayne Miller, proposed involving homonyms. For example, a sovereign citizen might try to link birth certificates and paper currency to maritime law by claiming that a birth certificate is really a birth, BERTH certificate, and currency is actually current plus C. Right, like they can't spell. All right, now, there are pseudo-legals in nature. Though a layperson, they often seem to have the form and appearance of a legitimate legal documents to judges, attorneys, and other versed in the law. Sovereign citizens' claims and theories are typically little more than meaningless nonsense. It's common for judges to characterize the sovereign citizen documents or filings as terms such as gibberish or gobbledygook. Now, they are often examples of magical thinking. I saw one of those today on YouTube, and I am going to show it. People who engage in magical thinking believe that specific words, rituals, or actions can affect events in the physical world, like the way a wizard may assemble ingredients and incantations for a spell. Sovereign citizens string together legal terms and phrases and quotations from court cases and other language and symbology in ways they think allows them to become immune from the laws and regulations, free of debts and obligations, or unable to create their own money, courts, or even law enforcement agencies. If they fail, they're just told that it's just because they didn't use the correct phrase or file in their correct documents. Can you imagine children going to school and claiming they were sovereign citizens? That would be a little wild, right? It certainly would. Now, this first boom period for the sovereign citizen movement was in the 80s, right? There was a severe recession and a major farm crisis, and that created an audience that was angry and financially desperate, and they were receptive to this claimed solution that promised by early sovereign citizens. This movement experienced a second surge in the mid to late 1990s as part of the upswing of a far right that resulted in Oklahoma City bombing. Indeed, one of the bombers, Terry Nichols, had engaged in sovereign citizen activities. Now, this is where I've learned something new. I had no idea that Terry Nichols was ever associated with the sovereign citizens group. This is new to me. I hope you're learning something new today from this. So let's get on down here. Sovereign citizens saw a third period of growth starting in the late 2000s, fueled by another serious recession and the mortgage crisis. During this surge, sovereign citizens were also able to exploit social media to spread sovereign ideas to many new audiences. Since 2020 and the COVID-19 pandemic, the sovereign citizen movement has been on the rise again. Okay. So this is not new, it's old. This has been for decades. This movement has been around. It's been dominated by theorists or gurus who invent the pseudo-legal theories and tactics of this movement, and they market them to the adherents. Sovereign citizen gurus hold seminars around the country and online, compose filings and instruction manuals, and offer legal advice and guidance for a price. Now, I'm going to say something, and you're going to go, what? This reminds me of Chad and Lori Daybell. What were they doing? Selling a theory, selling a thought, selling an extreme religious belief. It's the same thing. It becomes a cult, right? It is actually a cult if you stop and think about it. Now, some sovereign gurus may have only local followers, while others enjoy celebrity status within the movement and are so influential that other sovereign citizen theorists advertise they are teaching the theories or methods of that sovereign guru. These theories and tactics taught by these leaders of the sovereign citizens movement have no basis in real law, and many are illegal. Indeed, once the hazards of being a sovereign citizen guru is arrest. Most profile sovereign citizen influencers of the 2010s ended up behind bars before the end of the decade. James Timothy Turner of Alabama, a sovereign citizen who headed the sovereign citizens group Republic for the United States of America, he called it RUSA, received an 18-year sentence in 2013 on fraud and conspiracy charges for his seminar that taught people how to use fictional financial instruments to pay off taxes, mortgages, and other debts. James T. McBride, who was a leader of the Ohio-based sovereign citizen, and his group was called Divine Providence. He was convicted in 2014 for a $500,000 scheme in which he sold thousands of bogus diplomatic identification documents that he claimed would allow purchasers to avoid arrest and taxes, like a get out of jail free and you never owe taxes. That's what he does, though. That's what he sold. Now, later in the decade, a Colorado sovereign guru, Bruce Duchette, received 38-year sentence after his conviction on 34 counts of racketeering, tax evasion, retaliation against judges, and other charges. Now, while Winston Shrout, an Oregon-based sovereign and perhaps the most popular and influential guru of the 2010s, earned a 10-year sentence on charges related to tax evasion and fictitious financial instruments. So this is not simply the funny YouTubes where people are presenting these fake documents to law enforcement or going into the court and saying, oh, I'm a sovereign citizen. It's not just that. This is bigger than that. And I thought it was kind of interesting how people don't really understand that this sovereign citizen, it is a cult. Basically, it is a cult. So here we go. Let's keep going here. Now, despite these convictions, some sovereign citizen influencers have managed to avoid prosecution, while new sovereign gurus have stepped forward to fill the gaps left by those who are in prison. Today, there are hundreds of such theorists with varying degrees of popularity and influence. Anna Marie Reisinger, and she's an Alaskan sovereign citizen who calls herself Anna von Ritz, and is self-appointed judge, is one of the most influential current sovereign citizen gurus. In recent years, she has influenced the followers around the country to create groups called assemblies. Now, Russell J. Gold, who has also called himself a judge as well as Postmaster General of our world, is the most popular of the host of the sovereign theorists who teach the quantum grammar, claiming this universal language guarantees victory in court. Now, we know it does not. A number of sovereign gurus spreading the Moorish variant of this ideology, primarily to the Black audiences, have connections to one of the oldest Moorish groups, the RV Bay Publications, based in New York and New Jersey. Now, the most popular sovereign guru since 2021 has been David and Bonnie Strait and Bobby and T. Lawrence. The two couples, along with other sovereign influencers who work with them routinely, bring hundreds of paying attendees to their frequent seminars around the country, and they sell a variety of sovereign-related products to their followers. They have done more than any other recent sovereign influencers to recruit from among the Quran adherents and the MAGA movement and the anti-vax movements. Okay, I never say Quran right. I just never do. Sorry. Most sovereign cities follow the teachings of one or more sovereign influencers. It is also common for sovereign citizens in local areas to network together or meet either online or in physical world. Most sovereigns don't belong to organized groups, though such groups do exist. Some are created by sovereign citizen gurus largely as a vehicle for their own activities. Perhaps the most common type of group is the fictitious entity group. Fictitious entity groups purport to be some type of legitimate authority, often judicial or governmental in nature. For example, sovereign citizens have created fictitious government agencies, law enforcement agencies, consultants, and embassies. Now, Native American tribes and other indigenous groups, and juries and courts, and even bogus countries and colonies. I'm going to tell you about one that I think that this falls under that. There was at one time, there was something called the something tribe of Arkansas, and it was a big movement. And I really do believe it, and they were trying to claim they were Indians. I really do believe that was exactly part of the sovereign citizen groups, but that's not what they called it. They hid cult under a different, as if this you were going to be a member of Native American, right? That's what, and they promised to get you a CDIB card, but we know that that's not possible unless you are part of the 7 tribes. Anyway, so I believe that that is a well-known entity. All right, now let me get back over here. Okay, now in the 1990s, sovereign citizens around the country created scores of so-called common law courts. In the 2010s, sovereign citizens tried to form common law grand juries in every county in the country. Now, recently, the most popular type of fictitious entity group has been the assemblies, coming in varieties that include state assemblies, county assemblies, jural assemblies, and de jure assemblies. Some sovereign citizens claim assemblies are a fourth branch of the government representing we the people, which acts as a check on the other branches. Now, imagine going into a courtroom and saying, well, I'm just part of the we are the people. Okay. Now, among the different types of fictitious entity groups, there are bogus law enforcement agencies, and perhaps the most troubling, sovereigns have created such groups since the 1990s. The fake officers of such groups often have bogus identification cards and badges, as well as accoutrements such as raid jackets identifying them as law enforcement, or decals or markings on their vehicles. Sovereign citizens have used these fake credentials to get out of traffic stops, to get past courtrooms, and to airport security measures, and to intimidate people. In the 2000s and early 2010s, many sovereigns posed as county rangers. not a deputy, they're county rangers. In recent years, a number of these sovereign citizens have declared themselves constitutional marshals, including the Costilla County, Colorado, who claimed he was willing to take over the county jail and told the sheriff that he was a true peace officer. Now, any sovereign or sovereign citizen group can create fake police agencies. Now, in 2021, 2 men associated with the Moorish sovereign citizen group and the Tsalagi, I'm sure I'm saying this wrong, the Tsalagi Nation, which is TSALGI Nation. Now, they were arrested in Georgia and charged with impersonating police officers and possessing of firearms during the commission of a crime after they were stopped by law enforcement in Rhode Island, who noticed their bogus Tsalagi National Tribal Marshal, Rhode Island Tribal Police license plate. Now, that's a lot of mouth, that's a lot to say. So they had their own, they made their own license plate. Now, you've seen a lot of that. You've seen a lot of that on YouTube, where you'll see these people being stopped because they had bogus license plates, or they have bogus identification cards. And the cops are like, this is not legal. And they're like, yes, it is. Here's my paper. And they give the cops these papers, right? Okay. Now, well, I will say this. A lot of these people that decide to go this route already had their driver's license taken away anyway. So they have no real driver's license. It's not that they divorced their license. They just, when they lost their license from DUIs or whatever the problem was, they just decided to be a sovereign citizen, okay? That's a lot of what we see happening here. Now, we'll go back on down here. Okay, so after this, so these people had this fake license plate. And the men who had their own identification cards, badges, and jackets allegedly told the deputies they were conducting an investigation. Other members of the group were arrested in Rhode Island that same year after allegedly trying to bring firearms into a federal building. We all know you can't do that. Now, let's talk about the next group, and that is the Moorish sovereign citizens and other sovereign citizens of color. These are another different set of groups. Well, they're all cults, but they're different branches of the sovereign citizen. That's what I'm going to say. It's very confusing. I know it is. Okay. One of the major segments of the sovereign citizen movement today consists of the so-called Moorish sovereign citizens. This is the very existence which illustrates the flexibility of the sovereign citizen ideology and its ability to appeal to people of different backgrounds. As the sovereign citizen movement developed in the 1970s and 80s, virtually its entire membership was white. In fact, many of the pioneers of this movement were full-fledged white supremacists, adherents of racist and anti-Semitic religious sects known as Christian identity. However, the new belief systems they created was mostly race neutral and focused its hostility on the government rather than on racial or religious minorities. So, in the early to mid 1990s, probably first in New York City, some adherents of the Afrocentric fringe religious sect of the long-standing the Moorish Science Temple, or the MST, encountered sovereign citizens' ideology and began to combine sovereign ideals with the MST concepts. Other fringe black groups, such as the the Wichita Nation in Louisiana, also encountered the sovereign city ideas and found them useful. By the late 1990s, particularly in major cities along the East Coast and the Midwest, there was an increasing number of black sovereign citizens, most of them also associated with the MST, which is the Moorish. Okay? Moorish sovereign citizens tend to import traditional sovereign citizen beliefs and arguments, right, while adding their own emphasis and flourishes, such as a focus on, hang on a second, all right, such as a focus on the 1786 treaty between the infant United States and Morocco, which the Moorish sovereign claims gave black or the Moors special immunities and privileges. Many Moorish sovereign citizen groups also assert, as did the MSTs and the Washington Nation, that they have some of the indigenous status, because Moorish sovereign citizens often claim to be from another nation. Now, Moorish, indigenous, or otherwise, it's common for the Moorish sovereigns to claim diplomatic status, such as using a bogus diplomatic license plate, asserting diplomatic immunity, or describing their groups as consulates or embassies. For example, one Moorish sovereign citizen active in Maryland has described himself as the Consul General of the Moroccan Consular Court of the Maryland State Republic. Now, a Moorish sovereign claimed during a traffic stop in Missouri to be a lawful diplomat sovereign. Now, in 2020, now what happened from that, he ended up with a 2020 conviction on federal charges of impersonating a foreign diplomat. You see, because they go to these rallies and these things being put on by these gurus, and they buy into it, and they think that these documents they're getting will pass, that they're legal, and that they can actually call themselves these things. And this is where the problem comes, right? We know in cults, there is a problem that always happens, and this is where it starts, right here with these people. As a number of Moorish sovereign citizens grew, their ideas spread beyond the MST and attracted some adherents from other fringe groups from religious sects like the Nubian Nation and various black Hebrew Israelite groups to black nationalist groups like a New Black Panther Party. From the late 2000s, the Moorish sovereign citizens significantly increased their numbers by spreading sovereign ideas on social media platforms like Facebook and YouTube. In the 2020s, there are dozens of Moorish sovereign citizen groups, including the Moorish National Republic federal government, the Moorish National Republic of Peace, the Rise of the Moors, and the Ala Anawaya National Moorish Republic, and the Unani Buffalo Nation, among many others. I mean, they come up with the wildest names. Now, the Moorish sovereign citizens are not generally separatist in nature unless they also adhere to another group or belief that advocates such views. That many of them may not cooperate with white sovereign citizens, depending on the group or the individual. There have been a few more sovereign citizen groups over the years that have solid materials to white sovereign citizens or even allowed them as members. Okay, it is important to note that not all MST adherents are sovereign citizens. Indeed, some were the co-religionists against getting involved. They're like, don't get involved with that. What are you doing? Nor all Moorish sovereign citizens necessarily associated with MST beliefs. Moreover, there are also people of color who get involved with traditional sovereign citizens movement without ever adopting the Moorish theories. Today, there are tens of thousands of black people involved in the sovereign citizen movement in the United States as either Moorish or traditional sovereign citizens. Now, the emergence of the Moorish sovereign citizens helped open the door to the people of almost every race, ethnicity, or background to become sovereign citizens, making this movement the most multicultural movement in the American far right. In some other countries to which the movement has spread, such as Canada, Australia, New Zealand, promoters have attracted some people from native or indigenous communities to the sovereign citizen movement. Now, in the United States, though the Native American community has not been receptive to its ideas, especially to false claims by others of indigenous status. However, the sovereign citizens movement has attracted some Native Hawaiians to its ranks, particularly from the indigenous Hawaiian independence movement, which has long been associated. Now, let's talk about what happens when we also get terrorism involved, okay? Because that's another problem with these extremists or these cult groups, okay? The oldest and most popular tactics used by the adherents of the sovereign citizen movement are paper terrorism. Harassment tactics wielded against law enforcement officers, public officials, businesses, and private citizens. Paper terrorism, a term first coined in the 1990s by Nick Murnian, a county attorney in Montana who long battled an aggressive group of sovereign citizens known as the Montana Freemen, is in the use of bogus legal documents and filings, or the misuse of legitimate documents and filings by sovereign citizens to harass, intimidate, or retaliate against his or her perceived enemies. Now, this is a very important case. The case of Raymond McLaughlin. Now, a police officer in the Windsor, Connecticut, he provides a good example. McLaughlin became an active in the sovereign citizen movement in the 2000s, eventually leading his department to fire him and his mortgage company to foreclose on his home. Now, he was angry at the judge. He eventually ordered his foreclosure. Now, McLaughlin mailed tax forms to the IRS that falsely claimed he had paid over $300,000 to the judge, hoping that this would cause the IRS to investigate and audit the official. In the end, McLaughlin's hopes were dashed, and he was convicted in 2018 of making a false statement on a federal tax form. Now, I don't know what would move a person to think they could get away with that. I really don't. Now, McLaughlin's use of fraudulent IRS filings to harass someone has been a paper terrorism tactic employed by these sovereign citizens since the 1980s. It remains popular. Adrian Avril Perrier, a Colorado sovereign citizen, allegedly sent bogus IRS 1099-A forms to 2 police officers and a judge following a traffic stop of Perrier in 2021 and 2022 for having bogus sovereign citizens' license plates on her car. The form claims that the victims owed her a large sum of money, $3 million, in the judge's case. Her tactics disrupted the case against her, resulting in the recusals and the postponement. Now, I'm going to show you a video today exactly where this comes from, okay? Because what they have in their booklets and their information that they're selling at these rallies is something called a fee schedule. So what they believe, and I'm going to show you this too, what they believe is if you stop them because they don't have the correct license plate, then you are interrupting their traveling with no rights. You don't have the right to do that. So they're going to charge you a fee. So they send you this 1099-A form, which is the silliest thing I've ever seen, right? It's silly, but anyway, they do it. It's actually, they are on YouTube doing this. So here we go. Now, bogus IRS filings are merely one form of paper terrorism, one of the oldest and simplest tactics in filing a frivolous lawsuit. Now, we have very big creators on YouTube who are very, very familiar with filing frivolous lawsuits. I believe that's JLR, isn't that his name? After Perry was charged for her false IRS forms, for instance, she retaliated with a $22 million lawsuit against 3 prosecutors and an investigator. In another case, an Arkansas sovereign group, the Liana Bay, was arrested in Massachusetts in 2021 after state troopers allegedly found a gun and 16 magazines in her car, for which she did not have a license. In retaliation, she filed a $70 million lawsuit against a number of state troopers, a tow truck company, and even 2 public defenders. A federal judge dismissed her case in 2022. The typical end to most harassing sovereign citizen lawsuits is it gets dismissed. Although they are almost invariably dismissed, these lawsuits cause frustration and harassment for which the victims, while also clogging up the court system that sovereigns believe are illegitimate. They don't believe in it, but they'll go file a lawsuit in it. Make sense. Other sovereigns come up with the methods of harassment. In 2022, Darius Moody, a North Carolina sovereign, mailed bogus criminal writs of execution to a variety of officials that accused them of environmental crimes and treason, plus threatening to offer bounties of up to $20,000 to anybody who could deliver them to a tribunal. Now, this guy's name is Io DeWatt Mateos, a Colorado sovereign, allegedly utilized the services of a bogus arbitration association in 2021 to demand city officials in Loveland to pay him $300 million. A Texas sovereign citizen, her name is Sybil Joy Inger. Her name is Sybil Joy Inger. That's hard to say. Anyway, she reportedly did the same thing using the same fake arbitrator to claim nearly $3 million judgment against 2 Tarrant County judges. The arbitration incident is one of the newest variations of paper terrorism appearing in a number of the states from 2019 to the present. Now, one of the most popular paper terrorism tactics is one of the very oldest, the bogus lien. Now, sovereign citizens have placed harassing liens on the properties of their perceived enemies since the late 1970s. In contrast to a legitimate lien, typically placed by a business on the property of someone who owes them money. For example, a roofing company placing a lien on the property of someone whose home they re-roofed but who failed to pay. A harassing lien is filed against the property of someone who owes the filer no money but has simply angered the filer. Although such liens against the property of someone who owes the filer no money but has simply angered the filer, and it's hard to get it removed because now it clouds the title to the property because it's there. Because here's the thing, the county clerk will record anything. It doesn't matter whether it's legal or not legal. They will record it, okay? And once it's against your property, it's against your property. And it's up to you to get it off of your property, okay? You have to take care of that. Now, although such liens and other documents sovereigns file that have similar effects are bogus, they remain in the system until removed, and they cloud that title, which is what we just talked about. Depending on the state law, getting bogus liens removed can be costly and time-consuming, and it involves the court systems. Since the 1980s, different states and the federal government have passed laws intended to criminalize bogus liens or make them easier to remove, but they remain a problem because, again, it's up to you to prove that the lien is illegitimate, okay? Now, often sovereign citizens don't know about the possible legal consequences of filing such liens, or if they do, they don't care. And once a harassing lien is in the system, a victim must still get it removed regardless of any punishment given to the sovereign citizen who filed it. There's no take back. Once it's recorded against the property, you can't just take it, like the person who recorded it against you just can't go up there and say, oh, I didn't really mean it, undo it. There's no such thing, okay? It takes a lot of different paperwork to clear a lien and remove it from a title. Now, disturbingly, the use of bogus liens by sovereign citizens isn't on the upswing. Here's a few incidences occurring around the country. These are just some of the bogus lien incidences that have occurred in recent years. May of 2023, in Baraboo, Wisconsin, Sioux County officials filed criminal slander of title charges against a Wisconsin sovereign citizen, Ann Ratcliffe, for filing bogus liens against bank employees, a company owner, and others involved in the foreclosure of a campground that Ratcliffe owned. In April of 2023, in Sedona, Arizona, the city of Sedona sued 6 people for filing bogus liens in 2022 against multiple city officials. They're writing in their complaints that these filings were nothing more than an attempt to bully, harass, and intimidate the public officials. Now, the sovereign citizens who allegedly filed these harassing liens claim that the officials had committed over 100 violations of the Constitution. I know, it's kind of funny. It is kind of funny. It's kind of funny what these people do. And here's the thing, because they are talked about when they went to these rallies and are told, well, this is what you do about this, that, and the other. They think it's okay. They think they're not going to get in trouble, right? They don't know the law. But again, they don't follow the law. They say they don't follow the law, but they'll use the law to file the lien. It make sense because it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so then in February 2023, in Gunnison, Colorado, Brett Andrew Nelson was arrested after a grand jury indicted him on 24 charges for filing bogus liens, as well as bogus quitclaim deeds, power of attorneys, and arbitration documents against judges, prosecutors, law enforcement officers, and others in several counties. The victims all had some involvement in custody or other cases involving Nelson. You get mad, you retaliate, go file a lien against their property, right? That's what was happening here. Now, in February 2023, in Cleveland, Ohio, a federal judge sentenced a dentist and a longtime sovereign citizen, Douglas Smith, to 4 years in prison for tax evasion, contempt of court, and filing harassing liens against the judge and the prosecutors in his case. In November 2022, in Catron County, New Mexico, a sovereign citizen named Trapper Killsme, his former name was David Goldsmith, filed a $20 million lien on the properties of 7 Social Security Administration employees. He was subsequently arrested on federal charges of retaliating against a federal employee by making a false claim. According to the prosecutor, Killsme was a serial filer of harassing liens over the previous decade, having filed almost $1 billion in such liens. I wonder if he's kin to JLR. In September of 2022, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, prosecutors charged a sovereign citizen, Corey Wilson Chinster, with 10 counts of threatening a public servant after he allegedly threatened to put liens on the homes of the deputy who had pulled him over for a traffic stop. Okay. In May of 2022, in Springfield, Illinois, the Illinois Attorney General's office charged Derek L. Turner, an Illinois sovereign citizen, with placing bogus liens on the property of the Illinois Attorney General himself. Turner allegedly also filed liens against 3 local prosecutors because they were involved in traffic misdemeanor cases against him. So it is as simple as, you pulled me over for a traffic stop, and now guess what? You wasted my time, so I'm going to file a lien against your property because you owe me money. And this is according to their fee schedule. All right, hang on, because we're going to get to that. It's kind of strange, but it's out there. It's shocking. It's crazy, right? Now, in July of 2021, in Arlington, Texas, sovereign citizen Jonathan Reynolds allegedly placed a bogus lien on the property of an Arlington police officer who the month before had pulled him over for a traffic stop. He was not prosecuted for the harassing lien, but the investigation into the lien did lead to his conviction for lying on a federal firearms form. He received a sentence of 3.5 years in federal prison. In April of 2021, in San Diego, California, federal prosecutors charged sovereign citizen Edward DeLoach and Michael Jones, also known as Louis Alvarado Bay and Noble Phoenix Micah L., with filing bogus liens against 11 federal judges and law enforcement officers involved in a 2019 drug smuggling case involving the 2 men. So they get in trouble with drug smuggling and they just go after everybody and file liens. Okay, I got it. In June of 2020, in Houston, Texas, a federal judge sentenced inmate and sovereign citizen Noel Exena to 18 months in prison for filing bogus liens against a different federal judge who had years earlier given Exena a 50-year sentence in a drug smuggling case. He also filed harassing liens against the prosecutor in that case. Now, see, they're in prison and they hook up with these other people who are members and consider themselves sovereign citizens, and they learn how to file these bogus liens from prison. It's like a whole other world over in prison. Now, in January 2020, Augusta, Georgia, a federal judge sentenced sovereign citizen Timmy J. Pate to 25 years in prison for filing a multitude of bogus liens and involuntary bankruptcy filings against IRS employees, a federal judge, and other public officials. The anti-government extremist was angry that the government did not give him millions of dollars in tax refunds that he had fraudulently demanded. Now, with paper terrorism tactics, sovereign citizens take advantage of the open nature of the U.S. legal system. Anyone can file a form with the IRS, a lawsuit in court, a document in a county recorder, or a uniform commercial code form with a Secretary of State without typically having to prove the validity or legitimacy beforehand. Some local and state officials in some states are empowered to reject these bogus sovereign citizen documents, but most of them don't know that's what it is. When they just stamp it, record it, that's it. They pay the fee, they're out of there. The cost to file such documents is generally minimal, while the cost and time expended and aggravation suffered by the victims can be considerable. Though paper terrorism tactics often result in prosecutors for the sovereigns who use them with consequences sometimes more severe than whatever their original clash was with the authority involved, the harm has typically already been done to the victim. Okay, now let's talk about scams and frauds. All right, here's the next part of the sovereign citizen and what they teach these people, what the gurus are teaching these people when they go to these seminars as sovereign citizens. Okay, now again, it is a cult. Understand that, it is a cult. Now, in July 2023, Latarius Johnson, who was AKA Tariq Akil Anad, received almost a 20-year federal prison sentence in federal courthouse in Mobile, Alabama, on charges that included wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, and making false statements to government agencies. Johnson, a sovereign citizen, had run a multifaceted fraud scheme targeting financial institutions and government agencies, including the Small Business Administration, for which he obtained COVID-19 relief funds. Johnson used the money to pay for cars, jewelry, and vacations, and attempted the purchase of a Rolls Royce and a $4 million home. Now, Johnson's scheme was merely one of many scams and frauds perpetrated by sovereign citizens in the United States in recent years. For decades, the sovereign citizen movement has attracted con artists and people seeking to get rich quick, and who realize that the pseudo-legal language and documents could be useful tools in fleecing others, even at the times of other extremes. The lengthy history of the sovereign citizen scams has included pyramid schemes, investment scams, tax frauds, and mortgage scams, as well as a variety of esoteric cons. The schemes can often be quite lucrative to the sovereign involved, at least until they get caught. Now, a group of sovereign citizens in the United States and Norway, for example, ran an investment scheme that took almost $13 million in just a few years, much of which they converted into millions of dollars worth of Iraqi silver, the silver dinar coins. One of the ringleaders died before being brought to justice, but another, John Weiner, received a 22-year sentence in 2022. Most recent sovereign citizen schemes have targeted the Internal Revenue Service, using bogus tax returns to get massive underserved funds from the tax agency. In July of 2022, for example, a sovereign citizen, her name is Alice Fetter Lucas of Columbus, South Carolina, received a federal sentence of more than 3 years after fraudulently obtaining federal tax returns of more than $700,000 from the IRS. She used the money to buy a house and a car, among other items. The IRS only retrieved a fraction of the money it was tricked into giving to her. Now, I don't understand how she tricked them into giving it to her. Don't they do any checks and balances? That's the IRS, for God's sake. In an even larger case, David Isagaba and his wife, Joyce of Leesburg, Florida, filed a nearly $3 billion in fraudulent tax returns over a decade. The IRS caught most of the phony claims, but not all, resulting in $5.8 million payments to the Isagabas, which they used to buy a house and luxury vehicles. David eventually pled guilty to charges related to the scheme, receiving a 14-year sentence in December 2022. Now, Joyce went to trial and was convicted in June of 2022 of conspiracy and mail fraud. They set up bogus trusts to assist in their scheme, and so did a Milwaukee sovereign citizen. Her name was Janine Rogers, who reportedly created the Noble Sun Trust to help her file fraudulent returns, totaling $13 million. Like this, because she didn't get the whole amount, but the IRS did send her a refund check for $3.25 million. She was arrested in May of 2022. Daniel Takala Edmondson and her father, Kenneth Rogers Edmondson, two sovereign citizens from Broward County, Florida, used fraudulent tax returns to claim in several years to get hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax returns to the IRS. Now, their scheme eventually ends in convictions in federal prison sentences in 2020 for 72 months for the daughter and 51 months for the father. Despite the consequences of tangling with the IRS, the sovereign citizens persist in this tactic. These are just some of the sovereign citizens caught employing bogus tax return schemes in recent years. Now, one group of sovereign citizens, led in New Jersey sovereign by John Berry Jr., combined the bogus tax return scheme with another common type of sovereign citizen scam, the mortgage scam. You know, it's like they have a scam for everything. This is kind of interesting, really. What he was doing, here we go. So John Berry, the mortgage scam. Now, Berry and his accomplices promoted the mortgage recovery scheme that promised people that they could extinguish their mortgages, but which actually involved filing fraudulent tax returns to get refunds of more than $4 million in total. Now, the scammers took 20 to 35% of these refunds and sent the rest to the client. Berry received a 12-year federal sentence in 2021 for his involvement with the scheme, despite his argument that the courts had no jurisdiction over him. Because see, that's why they do this. Remember, they divorced themselves from the United States of America, right? So they don't really have jurisdiction over them. That's what they believe. Now, other sovereign mortgage scammers have used different schemes. Anthony Williams, a Hawaiian sovereign and a self-declared private attorney general, created a business. He called it Mortgage Enterprise Investments, with which he and others scammed hundreds of desperate homeowners in Hawaii and other states, especially targeting Filipino immigrant families who were not native speakers of English. In 2020, Williams received a 20-year sentence for federal wire fraud and mail fraud convictions. Now, Ronald Allen Wright of South Carolina, a sovereign citizen, promised people facing foreclosure that he could get rid of their debts by filing financial claims against their birth certificates, a popular sovereign citizen theory dating back to 1999. He found many of his victims, including some who were elderly, through churches and other religious organizations and charged them $140,000 for his meritless schemes. Now, Wright's schemes eventually earned him a 10-year federal prison sentence following conspiracy and fraud convictions. These people are brazen, aren't they? Rather than targeting property owners, many sovereign citizens target properties themselves. So they go after the property, not the owner. During the mortgage crisis that began in the late 2000s, sovereign citizens devised a new tactic, illegally seizing empty homes using bogus deeds and other filings, and then living in them rent-free or even renting them out to others as pretend landlords. Such sovereign citizens, called squatting incidences, still occur regularly. At first, the people employing this scheme targeted houses that banks had foreclosed upon but not yet sold, as well as houses that were empty for other reasons. This version of the scheme is still popular. Police arrested 2 sovereign citizens, for example, in Brownsburg, Indiana, in April 2020 on a criminal trespassing and other charges for moving into a home that was empty because its previous owner had passed away. Similar incidences have occurred in other states in recent years. Over time, however, some sovereigns became more ambitious by taking possession of mansions or multiple properties. In August of 2022, Darius Thorne Hall and Natalie Shalina Fields were arrested for allegedly breaking into and squatting in a $16 million mansion in North Carolina owned by a NASCAR driver. In 2021, a group of sovereign citizens reportedly seized a mansion in Baltimore County, Maryland, that a woman had put up for sale after her husband died. The sovereigns moved in, changed the locks, and put a chain across the entrance to the property. In Davidson, North Carolina, a sovereign couple, Tremaine Thorne and Taya Barber, allegedly took possession in 2019 of a mansion up for sale due to the death of its original owners. So another group of sovereign citizens allegedly created a phony credit repair company for a complicated scheme in which they used stolen identities of clients of the businesses, used those identities to obtain credit cards and mortgages on property, and then rented those properties out to the others. Now, this was led by 2 California brothers-in-law, Stephen Tatsuo Maurizio and Albert Luigi Lim. They obtained millions of dollars worth of property. The 2 ringleaders were arrested in March of 2022, while the 3 others were arrested later that year after several months on the run. As this writing, they are still awaiting trial. Now, I don't know the date of this writing, but it's pretty interesting. They have also been in a small number of incidences in which sovereign citizens have claimed ownership of property without attempting to squat, including some property still occupied by the homeowners. In May of 2022, for example, a Tennessee sovereign, Erica E. Elliott, sentenced to a diversion program. She was sentenced to a diversion program after pleading guilty to forgery and bogus lien charges for having filed a bogus lien for $19 million on a mansion in Knoxville, Tennessee, in an apparent attempt to claim an ownership stake. In other instances, sovereigns have shown up to the doorsteps of the homeowners, claiming to be the true legal owners of the homes. Now, the motivation behind these odd incidences is unclear, but some may be possible attempts to extort with people making claims, hoping the owners might just pay them off to get rid of them. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic offered the sovereign citizen scammers new opportunities. Some, like Amos Mandani, a Texas sovereign, a Moorish national, sought to defraud the government. Now, Mandani and several accomplices created a straw company to falsely obtain $30 million in COVID relief funds from the Small Business Association. Convicted on fraud charges, Mondani received a 42-month prison sentence in 2023. Utah sovereign Gordon Pedersen took a different tack, peddling structural alkaline silver. Okay, okay, listen, he was selling structural alkaline silver as a cure for the coronavirus, claiming that the substance resonates at a frequency that destroys the membrane of the virus, which he was indicted on federal charges. Pedersen fled instead of appearing in court in 2020, but was tracked down and caught in August of 2023. Can you imagine desperate people? Listen, it's hard for me to imagine desperate people buying this silver alkaline water to try to kill the coronavirus. That's desperation right there. Okay, so then finally, on more modest scale, one of the oldest and simplest sovereign citizen scams is the use of fictitious financial instruments, such instruments dubbed as bills of exchange. Now, these are bonded promissory notes, or a variety of other names, often look like checks or money orders, but are entirely worthless, no matter the monetary amount that appears on the documents. Since the early 1980s, sovereign citizens have created such instruments to pay off debt and purchase luxury automobiles, or to use them in other scams, such as reportedly can be used to pay off a mortgage. Now, such bogus instruments are still common in the 2020s. In 2020, for example, Kevin Martin, an Arizona sovereign citizen, was arrested on fraud charges after he allegedly used bogus checks to purchase an Aston Martin and a Mercedes, as well as $226,000 in gold coins. Now, 2 years later, a Rhode Island sovereign, and his name was, he unsuccessfully tried to use a certificate of deposit to buy a Range Rover in Boston. In 2023, Brodell Torreira Jones pled guilty to using counterfeit U.S. Treasury checks to purchase a vehicle in Jacksonville, Florida. Now, she was arrested in 2017, but became a fugitive rather than face trial, and what was caught later on in April 2023. A Massachusetts sovereign, Nathan McGuire, sent a bogus sovereign citizen's money order for $5 million to an investment company, then sued the company in 2023 after it ignored his fictitious instrument. It's funny, but it's not funny because real people get hurt. Real money gets stolen this way. They're not just sovereign citizens, they're actually criminals, to be honest with you. They're criminals. Okay. Because of its extremist ideology, as well as validity of many of its adherents, the sovereign citizen movement has a well-deserved reputation for threats and violence. Sovereigns most often direct their anger at law enforcement officers and government officials, but businesses and individuals can easily become targets. In 2021, for example, a Michigan sovereign, Misty Thompson, was arrested for stalking a local judge overseeing her child custody case involving Thompson. After they arrested her, law enforcement officers discovered she had loaded handguns, knives, and the baseball bats in her car. After an Idaho sovereign, Eric Erwin, was arrested for assaulting a U.S. Forest Service officer in 2022, federal agents searching his home discovered that he had bullets with potential targets written on them in red, including one with the words, "Die McLean," referencing a local mayor. He was sentenced in August of 2022 to 6.5 years in prison for the assault and unlawful possession of the weapons. It doesn't necessarily take much to set off a sovereign citizen. In 2021, Michael Neeson, a New Mexico sovereign citizen, received 3.5 years in prison sentence for threatening to shoot a police officer in the head because he was given a traffic ticket. Jerry John Nielsen, a Utah sovereign citizen, was arrested in 2023 for threatening to shoot his own gas station coworker. Sovereign citizens can be equally volatile in the courtroom, engaging in a variety of disruptive behaviors, even violent acts. Laquan Hill, a New York sovereign arrested in 2022 for murder, allegedly shouted profanities at the judge and his own attorney while being arraigned, claiming loudly that the court had no jurisdiction over him. Now, Emeril Mafatari, they make up these weird names, it's hard to say. Emeril Mafatari, Kinetic sovereign, became so disruptive in court in 2021 on making similar arguments that the judge eventually had to expel him from the courtroom. That was the same fate for Lawton Partee, an Indiana sovereign, in 2022. Now, Anthony Matthews of Ohio, a sovereign citizen, he fought with the courtroom security officers following an argument with the judge in 2021 Joseph Cacciatore, hard to know, I think is his name, a Texas sovereign and an air. Okay, now these people have real jobs. I want y'all to think about this. A Texas sovereign and an airline pilot. He's flying the plane that you might be flying the plane that you're on. Okay, became so angry after being denied bail in his fraud case that he attacked the bailiff, then fought with the judge and the prosecutor who rushed to help. Now this was a female. Okay, traffic stops are among the most dangerous situations for police officers dealing with sovereign citizens. Though sovereign citizen traffic stop videos have become sources of entertainment for some YouTube, the fact is that a sovereign citizen can turn even the most routine of traffic stops into a violent confrontation. Sovereign citizens believe the police have no jurisdiction over them, nor any right to pull them over, and some can be motivated by that belief to assault or even kill. Most sovereign citizen traffic stops are confrontational, as the sovereigns involved typically refuse to cooperate or challenge their authority of the officer. Many traffic stops, though, go beyond mere belligerence. Now, Ron Sterling, a North Carolina sovereign, pulled over for an expired tag in June of 2023, refused to roll down his window to speak with the officer. Then he backed into the patrol car. He allegedly led deputies on a chase through multiple counties before Sterling's car finally crashed. In August, a West Virginia sovereign citizen, his name is David Lee Gibson, similarly led the local police on a chase after they attempted to stop him for not having plates or a taillight on his motorcycle. When police finally caught up with him after he ran out of gas, he allegedly tried to pull a gun on them before being subdued by the officers. Zane Ian Joseph Strange, a Colorado sovereign, was charged with felony assault on a police officer in Montana. The officer tried to conduct a traffic stop on Strange for having an invalid plates. A Tennessee sovereign was convicted of aggravated assault in 2019 for an incident in which he bit off the end of a Knoxville police officer's thumb as he fought with the officer during a traffic stop. Imagine that scenario. You're being stopped. Okay, imagine being the police officer. The police officer pulls him over, it's just a regular stop, and he leaves this traffic stop with the end of his thumb being bit off by the sovereign citizen. Can you imagine the horror? Yeah, I'm going to try to find that. Let's see if we can find that. Now, that is just horrible. The fact that sovereign citizens frequently have weapons on their person or in their vehicle makes traffic stops even more dangerous, as it is easy for a sovereign to employ deadly force. When Eddie Jarrell Perez led police in California on a chase in 2023, following an attempt to stop him for an invalid plate, he allegedly threw a ghost gun out of his car, one of several he owned. Now, ghost guns are these homemade firearms that don't have serial numbers, and they can be 3D printed. Just let you know that they can be. Now, officers may have been lucky, as Perez allegedly once shot a vehicle in a road rage incident. In another California incident, police officers arrested two sovereign brothers in 2022 following a traffic stop in which the police allegedly found an improvised explosive device. They had a bomb in the car with them, okay? Two recent traffic stops involving sovereign citizens were among the most serious. In March of 2023, from the Farmington, Utah Police Department, they had to shoot and kill a sovereign citizen, Chase Allen, while conducting a traffic stop during which the combative Allen attempted to pull a handgun from his hip holster. Although other anti-government extremists attempted to make a martyr out of Allen, the Davis County attorney cleared the officers of wrongdoing, saying that the officers fired in self-defense because deadly force was in the process of being engaged against them. In another, let's see, what's the person's name? We're going to have to look up Chase Allen. I'm going to have to remember Chase Allen. Okay. In another incident, a tense confrontation occurred between law enforcement in Massachusetts and a group of sovereign citizens in March of 2021. And Massachusetts state troopers saw two vehicles parked along the side of I-95 with their hazard lights on. The troopers stopped to see if anybody needed help, only to discover a large group of armed men wearing tactical gear. The men were members of the Moorish sovereign group called Rise of the Moors and were on their way to Maine to engage into a paramilitary training. Now, after the men said they had no identification, the trooper called for backup. Help arrived, but in the meantime, some of the Moors had moved into the nearby woods to take up positions with their firearms, creating a standoff situation that lasted through the night. Eventually, 11 members of the Rise of the Moors were finally convinced to surrender, at which point the state police arrested them on various charges. primarily weapons violations. One bad decision by either of the sovereigns or the law enforcement could have resulted in a firefight. In other recent incidents, violent shootouts and standoffs have occurred. Jada Davis, a Missouri sovereign citizen, allegedly shot a police officer asking her to move her parked vehicle in early 2023. Luckily, no one was hurt. In July 2023, police arrested Robert Clifton Tanner, a Louisiana sovereign citizen, after he allegedly shot the driver of a tow truck who had came to repossess Tanner's vehicle. An Ohio sovereign, Derek Jamar Lewis, shot at Dayton police officers attempting to arrest him in 2020 on a warrant precipitating a day-long standoff during which he held his girlfriend and her 2 children as hostages. In 2022, he received an 18-year sentence after the jury found him guilty of numerous charges related to the confrontation. That same year, an Oregon sovereign, Micaiah Clinton, shot a Woodburn police officer twice as law enforcement attempted to arrest him at a truck stop for violating his probation. The officer survived, but Clinton was killed in return fire. A number of violent incidences have involved attempts to evict sovereign citizens. The sovereign citizens movement often attracts people who struggle with financial issues as well as those who have issues with authority. Now, when these issues combine, as they often do with evictions, sovereign citizens can be at their most explosive. An attempt in 2022 to evict a Washington sovereign, Terry Sam, led to an hour-long standoff before law enforcement officers were able to remove her from the property. In 2020, when deputies came to evict a Columbus, Ohio sovereign, Monica Greer, or her name is Monica Greer Justice, she shot 2 of them and was only arrested after a 7-hour standoff. In 2023, William Hardison, a sovereign citizen in Pittsburgh, opened a fire on deputies, attempting to evict him from his home, initiating a 6-hour-long shootout and a standoff that ended in his death. Now, sovereign citizens, like other anti-government extremists, because they are extremists, and remember, they are a cult. Don't ever get that confused. They're absolutely a cult, okay? Now, often they are well armed, making them particularly dangerous in confrontations. When FBI agents raided the home of an Arizona sovereign, John G. Ham, his name is John G. Ham Howard, in 2019, they found 23 firearms, including ghost guns, as well as 7,600 rounds of ammunition. Subsequently received his own 5-year sentence in 2022 for making a pipe bomb. The investigation that ended in his arrest began in 2020 after his father accidentally crashed a truck, which exploded because it contained ammunition, fireworks, and explosive devices. A Missouri sovereign, Archie Richardson, was arrested in 2021 for making pipe bombs. Neighbors have repeatedly complained about explosives on his property. Peppo Hurd L., a Massachusetts sovereign citizen, attracted attention in 2020 for riding a bus while wearing body armor, carrying a loaded weapon and 3 magazines, and having a knife. A search of his home allegedly revealed materials and drawings indicating his intention to make explosives, ammunition, and gun parts. Hurd L., a convicted felon, was not allowed to possess firearms. Police in Vermillion, Ohio, discovered in 2021 that local sovereign James E. Thompson, also a convicted felon, had allegedly modified an AK-47 rifle to be fully automatic. That's completely against the law. Sovereign citizens have committed a number of murders in recent years. The most recent murders by sovereign citizens have been primarily non-ideological. That is, the apparent motive for the murder was not directly related to their sovereign citizen ideology. However, these violent incidences illustrate the volatile personalities that the sovereign citizen movements so attract. These recent murders include, in Bogota, Colombia, in January of 2023, a Wisconsin sovereign citizen named John Polis allegedly murdered his Colombian girlfriend, Valentina Trepalacios, while visiting the country in 2023. He fled to Panama, but was captured and extradited to Colombia to face his charges of femicide. In Rochester, New York, in November 2022, LaQuinn Hill allegedly stabbed to death a man trying to break up a family argument. When arraigned on second-degree murder charges the next day, he yelled at the judge and his court-appointed attorney, claiming he was a sovereign citizen and that the court had no authority over him. In Greenwood, Mississippi, in 2022, in August of 2022, authorities in Alabama arrested Edward Bush Jr., a self-declared sovereign citizen, for allegedly killing his cousin and shooting his brother in Mississippi. In Albany, New York, in May of 2021, Natural Weiss Joseph, a sovereign citizen who claimed his legal name was his straw man and his actual name was X, shot a man to death for unclear reasons. Joseph pled guilty to second-degree murder in 2022. In Hartford, Connecticut, in July of 2020, sovereign citizen Jerry Thompson was charged with murder after killing his landlord with a samurai sword following a dispute over the rent. Thompson beheaded his victim and was convicted of murder in August of 2023. In Kalamazoo, Michigan, in March of 2019, sovereign citizen Anthony Azamaro allegedly killed his girlfriend by shooting her in the head while she was in bed. He was charged with murder and he was found incompetent to stand trial in 2022. In the Sumter, South Carolina, in August of 2018, a jury in February 2022 convicted sovereign citizen Demetrius Brown of murder for shooting a man at an auto repair shop in 2018. Now, let's talk about this this is a growing movement. You see a lot of this on YouTube, I know you have, and I'm going to show some of these in a minute. It's interesting how when they get pulled over, they're sitting there and the cop walks up to the window and he says, roll down your window. And she goes, what do you need? I mean, it's that kind of thing. And then it's like, well, ma'am, I need to see your license. I don't have a driver's license. And then they hand this piece of paper over, or this 5-page pieces of paper over that's been notarized, and they think that's what makes it legal, right? Okay, let's get back over here and finish this. So, one of the main reasons sovereign citizens are currently so active in the United States is the movement has enjoyed a growth spurt since 2020. Sovereign citizens have exploited recent events and developed new sources of recruits to grow the movement. Though it's difficult to know the exact size of such a loose movement, there may be as many as 350 to 400,000 adherents nationwide, although not all are equally active or involved. The COVID-19 reaction, this is when it got big. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic set the stage for a new sovereign citizen resurgence. Many people on the right and the far right emerged early in the pandemic as opponents of public health measures taken by federal, state, and local governments, whether because of anger or over perceived government overreach and medical martial law. They called it medical martial law, or fear and anger caused by the spread of anti-vaccination sentiments. The tactics and the pseudo-legal theories of the sovereign citizens movement, which itself distrusted the medical establishment as almost as much as it distrusted the government, seemed to marry off possible solutions. In March and November of 2021, for example, angry citizens in Utah filed 2 lawsuits seeking $1.5 billion in damages against the state and local school districts for allegedly violating their constitutional rights through anti-pandemic measures. Both lawsuits included sovereign citizens' language, attacking the legitimacy of the Utah state government and the federal government. Also in November, a Utah sovereign citizens group, Friends of the Original Constitution, put up a billboard advertisement in Ogden that declared mandates are unconstitutional. Now, some sovereign citizens offered their services to businesses upset at the anti-coronavirus measures. Rick Martin, head of the Texas-based Constitutional Law Group, was one of these, providing ostensible legal notices for businesses to display that proclaimed government officials would be trespassing unlawfully by entering the property of such businesses. When Martin allegedly attempted to represent one defiant Michigan restaurant owner in court in March of 2021, the non-attorney Martin was arrested for contempt of court. Others went further in May of 2021. A Minnesota sovereign citizen and anti-vaxxer, Thomas Edward Humphrey, was charged with theft after a video recording of himself stealing vials of vaccines from 2 pharmacies. Later that year, 2 Oregon sovereign citizens were arrested for assaulting the owner of a Eugene bakery who required them to wear masks in the businesses. The United Kingdom, where the commingling of the anti-vaxxers and sovereign citizens' ideals were even greater than in the U.S. The sovereign citizens even appointed themselves as fictitious constables to disrupt the vaccine distribution and intimidate the public health workers and others. One of the unfortunate side effects of the COVID-19 pandemic was it exposed many people to sovereign citizen ideas, and some found those ideas contagious. Most important new sources of recruits for this sovereign citizens movement over the past several years have been the MAGA and the QAnon movements. The MAGA movement can be described as a loose movement of die-hard Donald Trump supporters, while QAnon is a Trump-centric conspiracy movement formed originally by followers of an anonymous or peculiar figure dubbed as Q. Now, who from 2017 to 2020 promoted the claim that the then President Trump was waging a war to bring justice to the malevolent cabal of Satan-worshiping Democrats and left-leaning pedophiles who control the U.S. government as the deep state. Unlike many far-right movements, the sovereign citizens movement had not especially embraced Donald Trump while he was president. Though many sovereigns liked him personally, anybody who occupied the presidency was, according to their beliefs, head of an illegitimate government. Once Trump was no longer president, however, the obstacle fell away. Moreover, following Trump's election loss in the January 2021 Capitol storm, MAGA supporters seemed in disarray, and QAnon adherents even more so, especially because Q stopped making posts in December 2020. From an early stage, some sovereign citizen gurus saw potential in these large audiences and moved to reach out to them, incorporating the MAGA and the Q references in their rhetoric or taking part in events and tours that featured MAGA or the Q speakers. The sovereign influencers most effective in reaching out to those new audiences have been David and Bonnie Straight and Bobby and Tia Lawrence, who began as disciples of the Straights in 2021 and now partner with them. The Straights and the Lawrences teach standard sovereign citizen theories, but pepper their presentations with terms and phrases that are, import to Q, the Q lore, such as the cabal, the storm citizen, or the American state national, the term the Straights and Lawrences prefer to use. Trump will regain power and restore to the constitutional republic. This is what Bobby Lawrence told his followers on a telegram in 2021. This can only be accomplished via we the people reclaiming our birthright by becoming American state nationals. Now, this was an unsuccessful lawsuit brought by Trump supporters over the 2020 election results. Lawrence claimed in 2022 seminar that were failures because they did not employ sovereign citizen theories. Within weeks of Trump's leaving office, some MAGA and Q supporters showed evidence of having adopted sovereign citizen ideals, particularly the idea that the U.S. government is just a corporation created in 1871, not the legitimate government. Many Q supporters claimed that Trump would return to power as the 19th president because there had been 18 presidents prior. This is weird. Had been 18 presidents prior to the alleged creation of the corporation, and all the presidents since had been illegitimate. An idea also taught by sovereign citizen gurus like the Lawrences. Now, the collaboration between the Straights and the Lawrences and the prominent Q influencers such as Ann Vandersteel and Alan and Francie Fosdick were instrumental in bringing many Q and MAGA adherents to the sovereign citizen movement. There have already been several concerning incidents involving the extremists with both Q and sovereign citizens' beliefs. In March of 2023, for example, Colorado adherents of both movements, Tracy Jo Remington, was arrested on assault and conspiracy charges along with her partner, Brian Hill, after a booby trap they had allegedly constructed at their residence injured a door-to-door salesman. The most serious incident committed by a Q sovereign was the 2020 murder of Florida sovereign citizen guru Christopher Howard, allegedly by one of his Kentucky followers, Neely Ray Petrie. Oh, wait a minute. Is Neely Ray Petrie Blanchard in any relationship to Gypsy Rose Blanchard? Because we're going to have to look that up. Y'all don't let me forget the name. Neely Ray Petrie Blanchard, who turned on him. Petrie Blanchard, still awaiting trial, was involved with both movements before Trump left office. Other right-wing activists have also discovered sovereign citizens movement and used its tactics. Kimberly Wright, a self-declared Iowa mama bear, began her activism in opposition to school mask mandates, and this was during the COVID-19 pandemic. Then moved on to anti-LGBTQ and activism over school-related issues. In February of 2023, Wright, Reich self-filed an $87 million lawsuit against an Iowa school district over the 2022 after-school show put on by an LGBTQ, a student group that featured drag performances. Now remember, they tried to do this in Texas as well. Now, Reich's filings employed sovereign citizens language and displayed other hallmarks of the movement, such as enclosing zip codes and brackets and accompanying signatures by thumbprints. One of the most right-wing activists has also discovered that the sovereign citizen movement used its tactics. Kimberly Reich's, hang on a minute. I'm sorry, let me get back up here. All right. One of the most interesting examples of the dissemination of sovereign citizen ideas to the MAGA supporters is the spread among the criminal defendants arrested for their involvement in the January 6, 2021 storming of the U.S. Capitol. The COE has identified over a dozen defendants with ties to the movement. While a couple of them were involved with the sovereign citizen movement prior to the Capitol storming, most appear to have encountered the ideology only in the aftermath of their arrest. Many were likely told that they could benefit by using sovereign arguments in their defense, which we know does not work. Now, typically, such Capitol stormers revealed that their sovereign citizen leanings in pretrial hearings, where they declared that the government had no authority over them. In many cases, the defendants fired their attorneys and represented themselves. In some, the defendants failed to attend their hearings or trials. Both actions are common within the sovereign citizen movement. The case of Eric Bauchin, a Capitol stormer from New York, provides an example of both. He was arrested in May of 2021 and charged with 4 offenses related to his participation in the Capitol storming. He represented himself using a sovereign citizen's arguments in a pretrial hearing. In July of 2023, he skipped the required status conferences in Washington, D.C., causing a judge to issue a warrant for his arrest. U.S. Marshals tracked him down 2 weeks later. Shortly thereafter, he decided to make a plea deal. Capitol stormers who represented themselves using sovereign citizen arguments did not fare well. Most of their cases ended in guilty pleas or convictions. However, one defendant who went sovereign, James Biggs, had better luck. Hang on a minute, guys. Hang on. Knowing that these people would get involved in stories after the Capitol, after they stormed the Capitol, is almost kind of crazy, because what did they think was going to happen? Did they think they were going to get away with it? All right, back. All right, guys, sorry about that. Now, however, one defendant who went sovereign, James Biggs, had better luck. Biggs, a Florida oath keeper charged with serious crimes related to the Capitol storming, was acquitted by a federal judge in a stipulated bench trial. The judge ruled there was insufficient evidence to prove that Biggs had been involved with the Oath Keepers conspiracy. Parents and prisoners. Good Lord, these people are wild. The surge of the sovereign citizen movement in the 2020s is not due to just the discovery and exploitation of new audience, but also to an increased spread of sovereign citizen beliefs among some of its more traditional sources of recruits. Two of these sources have proven particularly important in recent years. Parents facing custody issues are battling child protective service agencies and inmates of jails and prisons. This movement is very popular in prison, very popular. For decades, the sovereign citizens movement has exploited angry or fearful parents, from ex-spouses frustrated at having to pay child support to mothers or fathers involved in custody disputes, to parents whose children may have been removed by child protective services. The movement purports to offer solutions for desperate parents to use its sovereign citizen pseudo-legal arguments and tactics. In recent years, sovereign citizens have stepped up their efforts to attract such parents, with some sovereign citizens influencers even specializing in making such promises to parents. In our child protective service cases, notice what they're saying, in our child protective service cases, Promises of Sovereign Citizens website called childrecovery.net, we serve in person the Supreme Court and the Attorney General to get a declaratory judgment and to testify to the lawful enactment and constitutionality of the statutes you are being charged with. Sovereign citizen gurus demonize the courts and government agencies while promising they can win custody battles, retrieve children removed by Child Protective Services, and satanic sex traffickers to make parents even more fearful and angry. Crazy. In January of 2023, Bonnie Strait urged their followers to contact law enforcement in Fayette County, Kentucky to demand their Child Protective Services stand down from any action involving one of Strait's followers or risk being sued in federal court for kidnapping and child trafficking. One disturbing result of this penetration has been the recent spat of incidences in which a sovereign-connected parent who had lost custody of their children have kidnapped them from their legal custodians. In Kentucky, sovereign citizen Neely Petrie Blanchard, for example, who was active with eClaws, a sovereign citizen group that catered to angry parents, allegedly kidnapped her two children from the custody of their grandmother in March of 2020. It is while she was out on bail from this incident that she reportedly murdered Christopher Hallett, her eClaws mentor, as described above, because she had somehow become convinced that Hallett had turned on her and was helping to keep her from her children. You know what? I think I have a pencil over here. I'm going to write this thing down. Let's write this down because we're going to look this up and see if we've got any relation to the Petrie Blanchard family that we know of in Louisiana and the murdering fool, Gypsy Rose Blanchard. All right? Let's take a look. I'm going to write this name down. Yeah, I'm going to a little bit of barking because the motors are here. Hang on a second. So the name of this person is, let me go find this again. Let's see, okay, let's see. Neely Petrie Blanchard. So let's write this down. Neely Petrie. All right. Come on, pen. Oh, here's my pens. Petrie. Okay, so let's write this down so we can look this up. I'm going to look it up. Petrie Blanchard. Let's see, what Blanchard family is she related to? All right, there we go. Now, okay. Let's get on back down here. Now, other recent sovereign-related kidnappings include Parker, Colorado, December of 2019. Cynthia Bafu, a sovereign citizen and a Q believer with ties to eClaws, plotted to kidnap her son, who had been removed from her care by Colorado officials earlier that year. Now, police arrested her in Montana on a warrant for conspiracy to commit kidnapping. A jury found him guilty of kidnapping and conspiracy charges in August of 2022. She later received a sentence of 60 days in jail. But see, because they're giving them false information, thinking they're going to be able to just go pick up their kids because they're divorced from the United States of America, and the United States of America has no authority over them, and they've got this fake legal paperwork that they can just go pick their kids up. It's okay. See, that's what's kind of happening here. Now, Salt Lake City, Utah, September 2020. Emily Jolie, a sovereign citizen and Q adherent, allegedly kidnapped her son from the custody of his father during a monthly supervised visit. Authorities located the child in Oregon in October and arrested Jolie, charging her with felony obstruction of justice. In Lawton, Oklahoma, in October of 2021, sovereign citizen Katie Christine Campbell allegedly abducted her 3-year-old daughter. Instead of returning her as a court mandated to her father, it took law enforcement 6 months to track Campbell down and retrieve the child. Police charged her with felony child stealing. Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, in February 2021, sovereign citizen Rebecca Ella Kirschbaum, ordered to give custody of her son to another person, instead fled with the child. Police quickly arrested her, charging her with kidnapping of a minor, concealing of the whereabouts of a child, and endangering the welfare of a child. And in December 2021, she was convicted. She represented herself on all 3 charges. Of course she's convicted, right? In Spokane, Washington, in July of 2022, police arrested sovereign citizen Howard Patton on charges of custodial interference, criminal impersonation, and second-degree kidnapping, allegedly using the sovereign citizen pseudo-legal paperwork to convince a set of foster parents to relinquish control of the girl placed in their custody to Patton. In Stillwater, Oklahoma, in August of 2022, Elijah David Earlback and Samantha Singh Ricks were arrested on charges of child stealing for an alleged attempt by the pair to abduct Rick's child from a foster parent. Now, Earlback was a sovereign citizen from Missouri, while Ricks had ties to the Q and other far-right groups. Both appear to still be awaiting the trials. As important, okay, let me shut this door here. They just can't stand those mowers. The funny thing about it is, Jack chases the mop, Jack chases the vacuum cleaner. Anything moving, he's going to chase it. It's too funny. Now, here we go. As important as angry parents are to sovereign citizens, they cannot compare the significance of inmates in jails. It is worse in jails than any other place, which have become one of the most significant conduits through which sovereign citizens' ideology spreads. The growth of the sovereign city ideology behind bars first became noticeable in the late 1990s, as the surge of the sovereign citizens' activity during those years resulted in many criminal convictions. Of course, in prison, the sovereigns did not stop being sovereigns. Rather, they taught sovereign citizen ideas and tactics to other inmates, telling them that they made the proper declarations, that they filed the correct documents, and advanced their right arguments, and their legal troubles would vanish. Many inmates found that these promises attractive, and once again, the pseudo-legal nature of the sovereign citizens' arguments and documents convinced many people that they must be legitimate. Some of the inmates dabbled with sovereign citizens' filings, often with "what have I got to lose?" That's the attitude they went with. While others became true believers, immersing themselves in sovereign citizen ideology and lore. Since then, sovereign citizen ideology has become increasingly common behind bars. It's steadily spreading and making converts. Perhaps the most high-profile convert to the sovereign ideology in recent years has been the former Subway pitchman, Jared Fogle. Now, he was sentenced in 2015 to 188 months in federal prison on child pornography charges. In 2017, with the help of another inmate, Fogle declared himself a sovereign citizen and claimed that the government had no jurisdiction over him. This was the first in a series of filings and lawsuits filed by Fogle or for him by another inmate using the sovereign citizen's argument. Countless other inmates have made similar sovereign arguments. Tim Griffin, an Iowa man arrested for methamphetamine possessions, made numerous sovereign citizen arguments prior to his trial and conviction, and he was sentenced in May of 2023 to 15 years. He told the judge, "Let the record show, I do not consent to this sentence." Leon Waynewood, an Idaho Falls resident convicted of child sexual battery in 2022, also made sovereign citizen arguments in court, claiming that the Idaho law had no authority over him. A Georgia defendant, Addie Simmons, accused of selling drugs to high school students, similarly asserted that the court had no jurisdiction to try him. However, in 2022, he had a change of heart and just pled guilty. Of particular interest are the many people around the country charged with murder in recent years who adopted the sovereign citizen stance at some point during their judicial proceedings. In these cases, the defendants do not appear to have been active sovereign citizens prior to their arrest, strongly suggesting they learned about the movement while they were in jail awaiting trial. Perhaps the most high profile of these cases was Darrell Brooks. Now, I believe we have a live on Darrell Brooks. I think we did. Anyway, he was sentenced in late 2022 to 6 life sentences and centuries of additional time for killing 6 people and injuring dozens when he deliberately, oh no, this is a different guy. Not the same Darrell Brooks. Ours was not Darrell Brooks, but it was a guy named Brooks. And this is a big case. I know y'all know about this. He deliberately drove his vehicle into a Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin in 2021. Brooks represented himself in court during his televised trial, repeatedly attempting to use sovereign citizen arguments to defend himself and becoming frustrated when the judge would stop him. However, Brooks was hardly alone. Some of the other murder cases involving defendants turned sovereign include, and these are big cases too, Larry Teague, one of 3 men convicted of shooting a supermarket security guard in Flint, Michigan in 2020, argued during his 2023 sentencing he was a sovereign citizen and that judge had no authority to sentence him. The judge did it anyway, giving Teague a sentence of life without parole. Desmond Cruz was sentenced to 55 years in prison after pleading guilty, killing 1 child and wounding another when he opened fire at a trick-or-treaters in Hammond, Indiana. In 2021, he filed a motion to withdraw his plea deal because he wanted to claim sovereign citizen status. Marcus Lampley was charged with killing a restaurant employee during an attempted robbery in Erie, Pennsylvania. In 2020, he represented himself at his 2021 murder trial using sovereign citizens arguments. He was convicted and received life without parole in August of 2021. See, they get sold this big lie, and they don't realize it till it's too late, and they get convicted anyway. I don't know what makes them think that this fake paperwork is going to help them. James Rand Buggs, charged in 2019 with double homicide in Orange County, California, advanced his Southern City arguments in multiple legal proceedings, including demanding in 2022 to be rearranged so that he could refuse to enter into a contract with the state of California and thus escape any jurisdiction that it might have. Markeith Lloyd, he was charged in 2017 for murder of an Orlando, Florida police officer while police were searching for him after he killed his pregnant former girlfriend. He claimed later in court proceedings that he was a sovereign citizen and rejected the court's jurisdiction over him. However, prior to this conviction and subsequent death sentences, he dropped that sovereign citizen's argument and accepted his attorney. He knew he wasn't going to win. Stephen Lorenzo, charged in 2016 with a 2003 double murder in Tampa, Florida, represented himself for years before his trial using the sovereign citizen's pleadings. He called the courtroom a fiction corporate court. Following a 2022 guilty plea, a judge eventually sentenced him to death in February of 2023. Owen Bevins, charged with murder for the killing of a husband, charged with murder for the 2015 killing of the husband of his ex-wife, used the sovereign citizen's arguments in court in 2019-2020. He didn't win, of course he got jailed too. Kenneth Williams represented himself and used sovereign citizen arguments at his 2021 sentencing following his conviction on charges of first-degree murder for the 2013 killing of a teenage girl in Chicago area. He received a 42-year sentence. Despite the lack of success that sovereign citizen defendants experience in court, sovereign tactics are likely to spread even further in jails and prisons. So it even spread, this is the last page of this, and then I'm going to show y'all some videos. It's fascinating what people think. Hey, Cinda, really good to see you. Hey, oh, did I miss me, Mom? I'm so sorry. I got busy reading, and I get busy reading and I forget to look. Good to see you guys. Good to see you. So this is weird. It's about the sovereign citizens movement, where it started, what it is, and what's happening out there. And it's really just gross, to be honest with you. Let me read this last page, and then we're going to look at the videos and talk about this. Thank you for coming in. I always love to see you. I'm sorry I didn't see your name before. I was just reading along. So, the sovereign ideals are spreading abroad. Though this report focuses on sovereign citizens' activity in the United States, sovereign citizens' ideas have spread to many other countries, a testament to the ideology's flexibility. For many years, the sovereign citizen movement operated only in the United States. By the 1990s, however, sovereign citizens had spread to Canada because of the Canadians such as Eldon Warman, who had absorbed the tax protest and sovereign citizen ideology while living in the United States, as well as American sovereign citizens David Wynn Miller, who started holding seminars in Canada, first known as detaxers. Canadian sovereign citizens later became known as free men or women of the land. By the mid-2000s, thanks to American sovereign citizen promoters holding these seminars abroad and influence of the internet, the sovereign citizen movement has gained a foothold in Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom, and Ireland. In subsequent years, the sovereign citizen movement steadily expanded throughout the English-speaking world, including places such as Singapore, South Africa, and Jamaica. Early sovereign citizens in foreign countries tended to repeat the arguments of American sovereign citizens, even to the extent of citing American court cases or American laws, such as the Uniform Commercial Code. As movements matured, they produced their own local sovereign citizen gurus who adapted sovereign ideas to the history and laws of the countries they resided. Today, thanks to the internet, there are sovereign citizen theories in the United States that originated in places as Great Britain and Australia. In 2010, the sovereign citizens movement had spread into European countries where English was not the native language and the legal systems were not based on English legal traditions, including Switzerland, Australia, Belgium, and the Netherlands, and among others. In 2020, the anti-government extremists in the Czech Republic belonged to a group called the Legitimate Creditors of the Czech Republic, claimed that the division of the Czechoslovakia into two countries was invalid and that the Czech Republic was illegitimate. The Czech Republic's Interior Ministry acknowledged in 2023 the attitudes associated with the sovereign citizens movement now have considerable reach. One of the main reasons for this growth of sovereign citizen activity in the Czech Republic, again, was the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic also spurred increased activity in countries where the movement was already active, particularly Great Britain, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. In these countries, sovereign citizen ideals and anti-vax ideals are freely mingled. In the Canadian province of British Columbia, for example, anti-vax and sovereign citizens stormed a 2023 hearing involving lawsuits by a prominent Canadian anti-vaxxer and declared themselves common law grand juries under the Magna Carta. It's funny, I know. In Great Britain, sovereign citizens' ideas provided what one journalist characterized it as a framework anti-vaxxers believe it allows them to fight back against the coronavirus, vax passes, and other restrictions, but also more broadly against the sinister forces supposedly orchestrating this pandemic. In these countries, the overlap between the sovereign citizen movement and the anti-vaxxers movement was greater than the United States. The spread of the sovereign citizen movement into these countries around the world not only has consequences for those countries, but also means that these ideas and tactics originating among sovereign citizens abroad will increasingly find their way back to the United States. Okay, so I'm going to get off of there. Now, let me get back over there. So it's kind of interesting what these people believe. It's weird, you know, but I'm going to look at some YouTube videos. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to these or not. To me, I'm watching this, I'm going, I am not even believing these people are trying this. It is crazy. So let me pull up this, let's pull up some YouTube for just a minute. Let me get rid of that. Hang on. Oh, another thing I want to show y'all is it right here? No, that's not it. They have this thing, I'll get to it in a minute. Let me get rid of that. Okay. Let me go to YouTube right here. Let's get pulled up here. YouTube. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Okay, where's my plain old YouTube app? Here we go. Now. No. What the hell is it doing? Just go to YouTube, you stupid. my machine is going all over the place like it doesn't know what YouTube is, right? Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. Now, I'm going to pull up something I saw today in my history. I watched this morning and I was like, oh my God, I'm so shocked. What the hell? What's wrong with this woman? It's just weird as hell. Let me go to my history and I'll show y'all. Hang on. I think you got to go down here to your history. All right, let me get down here. All right, here we go, history. Now, let me get this to play. It was a traffic stop. Now, the no-nonsense cop, the no-nonsense cop throws away the paperwork. Now, watch this, guys. Hang on, let me get that for you. Okay, now, this is from Sergeant Curtis. So full credit goes to Sergeant Curtis. Hang on. Well, let me set that up real quick. So let's get full credit to Sergeant Curtis. All right. It's very interesting. Okay, Curtis. All right. Here we go. Put that there so we can put this up here. Okay, so now let me get this started for you. And just listen to this nonsense, right? Here we go. Stop. Stop. Okay, let me share my screen. I'm so sorry I forgot to share. I was like, what are you doing, silly? What are you doing? All right. Okay. All right, Sergeant Curtis, thank you for sharing your work with us because it is crazy what you're going to watch here. All right. Here we go.
I've ever seen. The loss of a window, the loss of freedom, and a little thing that I picked up on as I watched the vehicle that made this something that was completely avoidable.
Hello. The reason I'm stopping you, dude, it says your license is suspended. Do you have your license registration?
The wind's blowing, it's kind of hard to hear.
Unless there's a truck. Do you have your license on you? Do you have to identify yourself? What's that? I do. I need your Florida ID card or your driver's license.
Now notice she's refusing to roll down her window. This is how it starts with these people. No, I'm not rolling down my window. I don't have to. Okay, this is how it always starts with them.
Because hold on, man. Because if you don't, I'm going to remove you from the car and you're under arrest. Okay?
So you're making my rights?
Nope. I'm just letting you know if you don't present your identification, you're under arrest.
The refusals, the partial window roll down, the verbiage, we're definitely in sovereign territory again.
Are you going to provide your driver's license?
I wish you could hear it better.
What's that? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. 2020.
I'm an American.
And she's definitely talked herself into at least a ticket at this point.
Right.
He's 94. Refused ID.
Look at it. Look what she's doing right there.
Can you hand it to me? And I'll need your
No, she
insurance
doesn't
card as
want
well. Go ahead and turn your car off. Because I'm getting ready to take you out of the car and you're getting ready to be under arrest, okay? Your driver's license is suspended.
Those are my constitutional rights. I am not leaving. There is no injured party until you can provide with reasonable emergency why you detain me, why you stop. Then I can add you to my lawsuit.
Okay, what she's holding up is a U.S. passport.
I can add you to my lawsuit because she thinks that he illegally stopped her and then he's wasting her time. That's what she thinks. Here we go. It's just ridiculous.
Card. I have one too. It's a really cool card to have, but it doesn't give you any special rights. It's a really cool looking card and it's nice to have and it's a benefit and cool to be an American citizen, but not to stop a traffic stop.
I'm just waiting on my partners and then you're under arrest, okay?
You have nothing to arrest me for.
For a suspended license, yes ma'am.
And that's a crime.
Yep, it is.
That is unlawful.
You cannot operate a motor vehicle on Florida roads with a suspended driver's license.
I'm not operating.
Except what she says is, I'm traveling. That's not operating a motor vehicle. I'm traveling. This is the BS that they use, that they think they're not going to get a ticket for. It's craziness.
Uninhibited, unencumbered right. You're violating.
And you can actually read what they're saying. Okay.
All right.
I do not waive nor do I give permission for you to violate my rights.
All right. So I'm going to ask you to step out. And if you refuse, I'm going to break your window and then I'm going to get you out, okay?
You present actual reasonable cause for pulling me over.
Grab gloves. You have gloves. Ma'am, here's the deal, okay?
Here we go.
I'm going to tell you
I
one
don't know
more
why
time.
she's doing this
If
to
you do
herself.
not unlock the door, we're going to break your window and we're going to get you out, okay? Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Where is the emergency? You have not.
Let me grab my thick gloves.
Remember, this vehicle still has not been cleared, and we do know that people in the past have engaged officers with.
Now, think about this. All of this could have been avoided. All she had to do was roll the window down, all right? But no, she knew she was going to get arrested because, again, this is one of these people that use the sovereign citizen because they've already lost their real driver's license, okay? That's what happens here. Here we go.
Violence and ultimately gunfire. So this is still a dangerous situation.
All right, ma'am. So for the last time, okay? If you don't unlock the window, I'm going to break your window,
What that is right
okay?
there, she's put her sovereign citizen paperwork up that she believes makes her divorced from the United States of America and that she doesn't have to adhere to our rules. It is crazy. Here we go.
I've got one. Hey, Sarge. What?
You have
No relation to me.
You need to read this.
Watch out. Hey, Sarge. Just breaking it. Oh, this thing just is not good, huh?
Wow.
She's refusing to cooperate with you? She is. She's 1015. DWSR.
1015 DWSR, driving while suspended, revoked. 1015, she's going to jail.
Mhm.
Do we have another punch?
Yeah.
Listen.
See, she knows that already, and that's why she's refusing to roll down the window. So I don't know what makes her think sitting there and letting them break her window or presenting this fake-ass paperwork is going to change anything about it. It's ridiculous.
You need to step out of the car before your window. You got one?
I got the same one as you.
The window's going to get broken if you don't step out of the car.
Violating my rights. It's because
Turn your face.
Sergeant, shut down.
I handed you paperwork.
Turn your face. You've been instructed to get out of the car and arrest. Turn your face.
Where is
Turn your face
cause?
away.
Where is your cause?
Turn your face away.
Show me.
We're not
the
going to
proof.
discuss that right now. You're
Show
going to
me
do what you're
proof
told to
that
do.
you have
Listen.
an emergency and a reason.
Here it goes.
I explained to you to get out of the car.
This is a violation of my rights.
No.
You have violated my right
Don't care.
to
Get
due
out.
process.
Stop. Stop.
Stop reaching for
Stop.
something.
Stop. You're going to get tased.
Are you?
Stop.
One more
Stop.
time.
Get out.
I mean, think about this. All of that because she's driving on a suspended driver's license, and she puts this paperwork up there like it's going to save her. Wow.
This is this is unlawful search seizure. This is violating my rights. So I am a threat.
No, you don't listen.
No, I listen. You don't listen.
Do you have anything in your pockets?
There's so many of these. So fascinating. It really is.
I don't care. Have a seat. Put your foot in.
This is a violation of my rights.
Thank you.
You have the same last name as me.
Okay, watch this one. Hang on a minute. These people go into court and they start their mess. And this is going to be courtroom Alice. Now here we go.
Yes, I am Harrison Alice.
Hang on a minute. And it's just crazy. There's God Almighty. I wish my dog would quit that barking. They come at the worst times to mow. Okay, courtroom Alice. I believe this is spelled right. There you go. Let's give full credit to courtroom Alice, and we're going to go watch this for a second. And it's just wild.
All lowercase letters. And I'm looking for a plea of release today. Will you grant a plea to release?
A plea release?
I'm looking for a plea of release. Are you stating that there's no offer of equity in this matter?
I don't have time for this.
All right, today we have a pretty interesting sovereign citizen case in Judge Perkins' courtroom. This man shows up to a Michigan court wearing a Moroccan fez hat and genuinely believes writing his name in all lowercase letters somehow makes him immune to the law. He's facing multiple charges, but apparently capitalization is the real battle being fought today. It's always fascinating watching someone put more effort into grammar than their actual defense. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe.
What's funny about this is as soon as they start saying certain words, the judge is like, oh God, it's one of those. They just know. All right.
Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
Get past that.
Lamont Harrison Lemon, the second. That's the gentleman with the fez hat on. Headgear on. Can you unmute yourself, please, sir? Is he connected to audio?
It appears to me.
Lemon Bay, Harrison Lemon Bay. Can you hear me, sir?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good morning to you.
How are you?
Okay. Are you the second or the third?
I'm here on behalf of the third.
The third. Okay. In I guess it's the second. That's right. This is great. Harrison Lemon Bay the third. Straight that. This is the state of Michigan versus Harrison Lemon Bay the third. Case number SX 41. 419-5968. Counts 1 and counts 3. Appearance for the record, please.
Elwood S. Berry Jr. on behalf of the defendant. State your full name, sir.
Your
I think he's representing himself.
Honor,
Yeah. All right. And add count 3 to that. Add count 3 to that record as well.
And let me stop for just a minute. I need to shut that
Count
door.
2 to that. 1 to that record.
Oh my God. But I don't know why this is a complete waste of the court's time. When they go in there and they start this mess, and the judge has to go all through it with making them stop and actually state their real name and state their real address. It's just a complete waste of time when they do this mess. It's ridiculous. Here we go. Let me shut that door.
Well, so count 1, 2, and 3. Let me have that other.
You get to where he starts saying, hey, I'm not really that
All
person.
lowercase letters. What does that mean?
it means that the name is to be spelled with all lowercase letters, not all capital letters, not part capital and lowercase, strictly all lowercase.
So today is the date and time set for a pre-trial in the matter. How do you want to proceed, sir? I know you filed some documents with the court. And I did have those up in my chambers. But how do you want to proceed?
Your Honor, I'm the surety on behalf of the principal debtor, Mr. Lamont III. I've given the court notice weeks in advance. I'm here to tender a special deposit to the court and make the clerk fiduciary, the prosecutor, as well. And I'm looking for a plea of release today. Will you grant a plea to release?
No.
Did you hear all that verbiage? This is exactly what they're talking about when it's like all this, trying to jumble up all these different legal words that have no real meaning in a courtroom. I mean, oh my, here we go. It's hard to explain.
I can grant you a pre-trial. I can grant you the opportunity to speak with the city attorney, or I can grant you a trial date. By judge or by jury.
Yeah.
What would you like to do, Mr. Lemon Bay?
Well, do you mind if I ask a couple of questions? Just want to make sure that I'm comprehending it. So, as you gave the name, I heard you mention a few different names. I heard you mention Harrison Lamont Bay III, and then a Harrison Lamont II, and various different names. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on who or what it is that we're here to discuss, because I don't want to speak on behalf of
It doesn't have an error. It doesn't have an error. It appears to be an error on the computer here. So entry date, one of the counts was entered into as one count was entered into as Harris Lemon III. The other count was Harris Lemon II.
Sovereign citizen.
Punishable by maximum possible penalty, 90 to 20 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Okay.
So those are the nature of charges. I'm going to offer you an opportunity to mitigate this by taking the better driver's course, sir.
Yeah, this guy clearly walked into court thinking he discovered a legal cheat code from a Facebook post in 2012. Judge Perkins absolutely shuts down the sovereign citizen script by refusing to entertain any of the nonsense. The lowercase name argument might work in his imagination, but it definitely doesn't work in an actual courtroom. You can almost see the realization hit him that Judge Perkins has heard every variation of this before, and of course, the judge offers him a better driver's course, which is hilarious because sovereign citizens always claim they don't drive, they travel. It's amazing how quickly the I'm not subject to your laws argument disappears when there's a chance to reduce penalties. Reality tends to be undefeated in these courtroom battles.
I'm going to put that in the chat if you choose to, and I can give you time to do that. If not, you can send it to our trial date. Whatever you're.
Let me get a real juicy one where actually they get into it about why are you calling yourself that? You're not really a sovereign. Anyway, it's kind of funny. All right, this one is from 7 years ago, and it's called Sovereign Citizen Encountered. Actually, let's do this one. Law and Crime Network, and it's a sovereign citizen face-off. Here we go.
Get out of the car.
Sovereign citizen? This is by which the law, you write your tickets. You have a ticket, you want to know the code, it's from the NRS.
Okay, I'm very, very sorry you feel that way. This white car right here, we're going to pull over for speeding 87. From 890 feet.
Wow. It's really speedy. Law and Crime. Here we go. What happens when they get pulled over, they start their shit, right? There you
Hey,
go.
y'all. My name's Deputy Sergeant with the Sheriff's Office. We're stopping you going 87. You know the speed limit is 70?
I was just trying to go with the sun.
Okay, well, you're going faster now. Yeah. Give me just a second, I'll right back, okay? Thank you.
Oh my God.
Pulled over speeding, the one got a seatbelt on. Their car smells like weed, so I've got another unit coming to me so we can search the vehicle. I smell perfume or something now. I think they've sprayed something. All right, ma'am. Like I said, I pulled you over for speeding. I did write you a ticket, okay? Hop out, come around back and explain the citation to you, okay?
Okay, I don't want to drive.
I don't care. You're getting out. Your car smells like weed, and I'm going to search your car. It does.
No, it doesn't. I don't even smoke weed.
It smells like weed?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, well, you have to get out of your car, okay?
For a citation?
Yes, ma'am.
Where's your supervisor?
My supervisor?
One, I'm a sovereign citizen for one.
Okay.
Oh, don't touch me.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car, okay?
Do not touch me.
Get out of the car.
I'm a sovereign citizen. Do not.
You're a sovereign citizen.
You better not touch my child.
17-year-old's an adult inside of Georgia.
Child.
Ma'am.
This is the United States government.
Ma'am.
Because I was injected with the COVID vaccine before the pandemic started. They're targeting me. So I'm going to think. You know why?
Somebody's paid me?
Yeah, the government.
Yeah, that's where my paycheck comes from. Are you going to get out of the car? Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Do you hear the craziness right there? Just ridiculous. I don't know what makes them think that's going to work.
Get out of the car.
If you touch me,
Get out of the car.
if you touch me,
Get out of the car. You're under arrest. You're under arrest.
Getting out.
Get out. You're under arrest. Get out of the car. Put your hands on your back. You're under arrest, okay? Go back here. Go back here. Come on. Come over here. Come over here. You have anything on your social tab? You have anything on?
Don't touch me!
You're
trying to ruin my reputation. The United States government
Nobody knows who you are.
with the COVID-19 vaccine before the pandemic started, and you're targeting me because of it.
You hear everything she just spewed off? Typical sovereign citizen, and they always start that way. It's just so amazing. Let's go find another one of these. I mean, just something that it just amazes me that these people think that this is okay, you know? What about this one? This is from 2 years ago, and it's Law and Crime Network. We'll go ahead and listen to this.
He has birthday. He is a living soul, not a corporation entity.
Okay, that makes sense. Not at all.
You are stomping all over my constitutional rights.
I'm not driving, I'm traveling.
He pushes my hands off. So it's
Yeah.
In the U.S. judicial system, it's said that no one's above the law, but some people think they don't have to follow the rules. We're taking a closer look at 6 times sovereign citizens were arrested on police body camera. Welcome to After Hours, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Sam Goldberg. First, let's talk
right into it.
No, don't move him. Okay? You're being confrontational. You have a firearm. We're not going to play that game. I'm going to name, date of birth, and I'm going to continue my traffic stop. You understand that? That's fine. I recommend that. If you're not going to plead the fifth, you're going to need to present me with an ID. Can you point to where your ID is?
No, sir. You told me to put my hands on the
but
steering
you
wheel.
told me you were going to plead the fifth, which means you're not going to talk anymore. If you're not going to talk, you can't tell me your name and your date of birth. Does that make sense? So will you tell me your name and date of birth?
Not until I present this paperwork.
Okay. 3216.
Here we go. She's going to give you
Can I get
her
another unit?
sovereign
I'm going to
citizen.
get my chief down here for you. Okay. Screw hands right with her.
I will keep them there as long as I can.
They need to remain there in your hands. Stay.
And I already told you, I will keep them there as long as I can. This is not exactly a comfortable position.
No, your female's verbally uncooperative.
I am not uncooperative. I am simply answering without lying.
Not at this time.
See, you guys always do that. You guys always something up that isn't there.
What did I make up today, ma'am?
You're saying I'm being confrontational. I'm not being confrontational.
Okay, maybe let me use a different word. Argumentative.
Well, maybe argumentative, but I'd say for you, because you're not getting everything you want exactly when you want.
Yeah, because I gotta survive every contact, and I'm gonna get what I want when there's a firearm involved.
You know what?
It's gonna happen.
I'm sorry, but it's the police that have proved themselves to be unreliable.
Oh yeah? Have you ever met me before?
Yes, I have.
You've met me. Where did you meet me?
Matter of fact, really doesn't matter.
Okay, so you haven't met me, so therefore you have no idea whether I'm reliable or not.
All I know is you're wearing a monkey suit.
A monkey suit? I believe it's a police uniform for that.
Let's get on over here where she actually tries to give him this paperwork. Hang on a second, guys.
If you'd have pushed the release.
Okay.
That's all I was trying to say.
Before that, I was giving you a lawful order, and you were refusing to obey that. Personal feeling that you didn't prefer it that way. But there's times during a traffic stop or an interaction with police, you have to set your personal opinion. To put her hands on her head so I can remove it from her and take it back to my vehicle to secure it during the rest of the stop, and she's mildly argumentative. She refused to do that. We ended up coming to a compromise. She let me take it off her and unload it. So it's been a bit of confrontation. I've asked her for a license multiple times. She said she wouldn't give it until you got here, so that's where we're at. So can I have your license?
I don't want to repeat myself.
Okay, can I have your license, please?
Okay, just real quick, ma'am, just so you know, my name is Chief Bruce Lady. I got my camera going to okay?
Camera recording in front. Now, as I told you before I relinquish my information, I am going to go over this paperwork. Okay? It's just perfect. It's my order.
Here we go. She's a sovereign citizen. That's another one.
Despite being insistent that she read the papers to the officers, it takes green cards a while to get things organized. But she finally finds what she's looking for.
So, as you're asking me for my driver's license, do want you to know, as it's right of the citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport his property thereon by horse-drawn carriage, wagon, or automobile is not a mere privilege which may be permitted or prohibited at will, but a common right which he has under his right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Under this constitutional guarantee, one may, therefore, under normal conditions, travel at his inclination along the public highways or in public places, and while conducting himself in an orderly and decent manner, neither interfering with nor disturbing another's rights. He will be protected, not only in his person, but in his safe conduct. And I can give you word of that if you would like.
Let's go to the next one. And it's crazy. The cop's going over there, he's just trying to do his job, and the next thing you don't know, they're over there having to almost arrest people because they will not give them the information they ask, and they start handing over this crap illegal paper. Let's listen to this one. Is this the same one? Let's go past her. I know, because there was a bunch of these on here. Hang on. Here's a new one, I think. Are they at the jail? What is this one? No, she's actually going to jail over this because she was probably on a driver's license issue. Okay, here we go. What is this one?
Or you can do so in 8 clicks or less. They've told.
Let's see. What is this one doing? Oops. Here's the next one of these people who are sovereign citizens.
Okay. All right. So just so you know,
over a couple times already by state troopers, sheriffs, and this is recognized.
Okay, I don't agree.
Tucciarone wasn't interested in hearing what the officer had to say and actually ended up rolling up the window while the officer was talking.
All right, go ahead and step out, please. Step out of your car, please.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Marijuana, I need another unit. Step it up, please.
I did not do anything wrong.
Pennsylvania versus Mims is a Supreme Court case law that says you're required to get out of the car if I ask you. If you do not, I'm going to force you to.
Hold on a second. I'll call my lawyer.
Okay, get out of your car.
Call my lawyer.
You can call your lawyer if you want, but as soon as another officer gets here, I'm going to force you out of that car.
About this. They're sovereign citizens. They don't think that the United States, that they have the authority over them, but they have an attorney. Again, that makes sense. Are you a sovereign citizen, or do you use the laws of the United States of America and that you need an attorney for? I mean, what's going on? It's ridiculous.
I don't need to be under arrest. I didn't do anything wrong.
You're being detained right now. And Pennsylvania versus Mims is the United States Supreme Court case law. You're being detained.
Why?
Because I told you I'm investigating one crime. Okay. You also said you don't have a driver's license, which is another one. And if you don't provide me a form of identification when I'm investigating you for a crime, that is a third crime that I'm investigating you for.
There is no crime.
You are required by law to provide me your true full legal name if I'm investigating a crime.
Well, this car.
If you do not provide me with your true full legal name, you can be arrested for that.
Matthew Tucciarone.
Okay. Do you have a driver's license or any other form of
I am
identification?
a sovereign being. My name is Matthew Tucciarone.
Okay. Again, Arizona Revised Statutes 28-1595 requires you to show me an ID card or driver's license. Get out.
No, I'm not getting out of the
car. I'm going to give you.
I didn't do anything wrong.
All right, Matthew.
I've done.
If you do not get out, I'm going to force you out. An officer that Tucciarone arrives at the scene and tries to calm him down.
Matthew, look at me. Matthew, look at me. If you don't get out, I'm going to force you out. I'm going to charge you with resisting arrest also. So get out, please. Come on.
Come on, sir.
Get out.
There's no reason to.
I've asked you probably 10 times.
I think it's just interesting how they start out when the cop stops them and they start doing this. Here we go. Hang on a minute. Is this the next one? Hang on a minute. Is this? Oh, okay. Look at this plate. Here we go. Watch this license.
You know what the flag upside down means? No. It's a sign of distress.
The truck stops at a gas station, and when the officer approaches, the driver is on the phone with a woman who's coaching him through what to say.
Hey, boss, how you doing? Not too bad. Deputy of the Sheriff's Office.
I just got pulled over.
Hey, so the reason why I'm stopping you, boss, I didn't recognize the tag that was on your vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have your driver's license?
There you go. I got the paperwork right here. Where's the paperwork at, Michelle? Here.
It's where?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, source talk.
It's on speaker.
So it starts out that his tag is not right.
Okay, where's your driver's license, boss?
We go.
I'm sorry. So, do you have a driver's license?
Yeah, right there.
Okay, what's your name, boss? I don't see your name on here. Can you point me?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not how this works. Where's your name at?
I'm just giving him the paperwork. Okay. Here, you talk to me.
Man, just to identify himself in this traffic stop is going to be an issue.
Sir?
Uh-huh.
He is identifying as a national of the New York City. As you know,
You hear that? He's a national. There we go.
It doesn't matter who he identifies as. He's operating a motor vehicle in the state of Florida, ma'am.
Traveling.
What? Yeah.
Why is this so hard to hear?
Like 40%?
Inside of one, maybe it's not so hard to hear. Oh, there it is. There's his paperwork.
It could be a potential issue for us coming up.
I'm telling you that you cannot talk to us.
Well, that's fine. He doesn't necessarily have to talk to me, but he does have to obey my lawful commands.
Sir, as you know, the terms of the Geneva Convention clearly state that you are required to have knowledge of every.
Hey, Murphy.
Why is he looking like that for?
This is part of his job. Hey, Murphy, can you just look at me real fast? Who?
Yeah, to me, it's fine.
Lieutenant who?
What, Lieutenant who? Lieutenant who?
Lieutenant Galarza.
I think you've been trying to say Galarza.
Yeah.
All right, hold on here. I just gotta look at something real fast.
The deputy double checks the status of the truck, then returns to give the bad news.
That's going to be negative. Comes back on a blue 2012 Ford, registered to a Lower Wind, the Bombay out of Lake Helen. Expired back in 2022.
All right, sir. This is kind of where we're at. So I checked the.
Hang on, Michelle. Hang on, Michelle. Michelle, hang on.
Let me ask you a question. How many times have you ever been pulled over? You saw anybody pulled over, and the cop's talking to somebody on the phone, not the person they pulled over. Now, this is what's ridiculous about this right here. What a waste of this cop's time and everybody else's time. Craziness.
So this is kind of where we're at. So I checked the VIN. The car is currently looks like it's unregistered. So if you don't have, do you have a Florida driver's license or a driver's license out of another state that I can check to ensure that you're a licensed driver?
Right there's all I got.
Okay, well, there's a problem. So I tried to search you up under this. I can't find anybody, I can't find you. So if I can't verify that you have a valid driver's license, then how am I supposed to let you drive off?
She's coming.
No, that's not gonna change anything.
He's saying I gotta have a valid driver's license.
To operate a motor vehicle in the state of Florida, yes, sir.
Okay, you're at Catalina, Howland.
Yeah. Okay, sir. It's a simple question. Do you have a valid driver's license?
Right there's all.
Okay.
Ask him that because he's not required to
Your middle name?
Well, because he's got it right here. He's got the paperwork in his hand.
All we're trying to do is just identify it, that's it, and then send you on your way. Is that your last name? Okay. Is your ID through Florida? What state is it from?
I'm right here. Yeah.
What state is it from?
She's coming.
That's fine. What state is your ID from?
I don't have an ID. I surrendered my ID, my birth certificate, and everything.
When you used to have an ID, what state was it from?
Here we go. He surrendered his ID, birth certificate, everything because he divorced the United States of America. Jesus Christ. He's no longer in a contract with the United States of America. This is wild.
Colorado.
Colorado? Okay. What's that?
They won't arrest her because fine. Here she is. She's right there.
That's fine. I don't need her actually.
This
She's
is
not gonna come over
ridiculous.
here. What is your date of birth?
It's right there. Everything's right there.
No, not everything is right here.
He has a birthday. He is a living soul, not a corporation entity.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Not at all.
I know.
Yes, sir. Hop on out.
I'm not. Why do I need to get out of the car? Have I done something wrong? Wait, whoa. Before you drag me out of the car, what have I done?
Hop out of the car.
Have I done something wrong?
You're failing to identify yourself.
That's not a misdemeanor. Not a law. Hey, don't get in my car. What are you guys doing? What's
Here we go.
Get out.
Don't get me out of the car.
All could have been avoided if he would just given his name. But see, since he divorced the United States of America, he thinks he doesn't have to. All right, here, let's go to the next one and see what happens here. Who is this? Let's see who this one is. Okay, here's a good one right here. Let's watch for a minute. Here we go. Let's see what her story is. Let's go.
We're headed to Gulf Breeze, Florida. It's January of 2022, around 2 in the morning. And from the
I'm
moment
pretty sure
Smith
she's
rolls
drinking.
down her window, she's hostile.
Young lady, Officer Banks, Gulf Breeze Police Department. I'm pulling you over. You're doing 54 and a 35. Any reason for that speed tonight? Before you got off the bridge, and it was who came off the bridge. All this is 35.
I was going 40, I thought.
No. You got your license, registration, proof of insurance.
You don't have to have a license to drive a car.
Yes, you do.
You do not.
15-7, 41 with me. Ma'am, step out the vehicle. Step out the vehicle.
Am I
You are being detained right now. Step out the vehicle, young lady.
I know my rights.
If you step out the vehicle, I will remove you from the vehicle.
I know my rights.
15-7, sovereign supervisor.
She knows the right. Okay, baby, get down. Get down.
You need to get a supervisor.
No, you need to step out the vehicle. Right? Young lady, step out the vehicle. Step out the vehicle. Last time I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask, and then I'm going to make you step out the
You're
vehicle.
going to get me a supervisor out here right now.
No, you're going to step out the vehicle right now.
You are going to get me a supervisor out here right now.
That's fine.
I know my rights.
See, they're above the law.
I do not have to have a driver's license to drive a car. I'm not. This is not a commercial vehicle.
Okay.
I know my rights.
Okay.
Very well.
That's what you want to stick with?
Call the supervisor.
Okay.
Right now.
All right.
Right now.
Or else what?
I know my rights.
If I don't call supervisor, or else what?
I guess we're not going to get.
Okay. Just hold it for me. You're going to give me.
You need to get
Now, here is the question. What is a supervisor going to do different than this police officer right here, where she starts rattling off the same old garbage to the supervisor about her being a sovereign citizen, and she's just traveling, right? She isn't required to have a driver's license, right? Oh my God.
Educate you on what the law is.
Okay. He could educate me on what the law is.
He's gonna
So
educate
you
me.
have an ID? You have a driver's license?
No, I don't have a driver's license on me.
Okay. Do you have one issued to you? In Mississippi. So why would you need a driver's license to drive on the road if you don't need a license?
That was years ago.
Oh, so what year is this?
What year was the ID issued?
29.
Right, that's your supervisor.
You hope it is?
I really do. Yes, I do.
Okay.
What is your name, Madam?
I already told you my name. It's Officer Banks. I didn't. It's Officer Banks.
Are you failing to?
Are you failing to give me your driver's
I
license?
don't have to give you a driver's license to drive a car. This is not a commercial vehicle.
Okay.
I'm not driving. I'm traveling.
Okay.
I have all the laws back here.
Okay. So you're not going to give me a driver's license?
I'm not going to give you a driver's license. I don't have to give you a driver's license.
Okay.
I'm traveling. I don't have a driver's license to drive a vehicle.
Okay. And what state is that?
Any state. It's common law, natural law,
Okay.
constitutional law.
Okay.
You need to get a supervisor out here.
I do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Smith demands a supervisor, and one soon arrives.
Her vehicle stopped for speeding. 54 and 35 coming off the bridge. She asked me where the speed limit was, saying that is before she got off the bridge. She actually did a U-turn. We were in the 35 zone. We pull over here. I introduced myself. I said, the reason why we're driving this fast, and I said, you got your license. She immediately goes into, I don't need a license to drive the vehicle. Okay. And she said, I'm traveling.
Okay. So, you do need a license to drive the vehicle. You do have to identify yourself to these officers.
I do not have to have a license to drive a vehicle.
Yes, you do.
I do not.
Well, you're wrong, but okay.
I know law, natural law.
I don't care about common law. You're in the state of Florida.
Okay. Common law, natural law. Really, people? I mean, I don't know why they think this is going to work. Jeez. I can't help but laugh at these people. But see, they're very serious. They believe exactly what they're saying. And I can't help but laugh at them because to me, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
You're in the state of Florida. You're in the state of Florida.
It doesn't matter in what state
It does matter.
I'm in the U.S.
It does matter. So you better hope the information you gave us comes back as to being you. So at this point in time, I need you to shut the vehicle off and step out of the car.
I'm not getting out of the vehicle.
You're going to get out of the car.
I haven't been suspected of a crime.
You are being legally stopped on a traffic stop. You are not being cooperative. It is not a Terry stop.
What
Trust
crime?
me, I know you're speeding. Turn the vehicle off and get out of the car. Out of the car now. Undo the seatbelt.
Turn the vehicle off.
Turn it off now.
Get that paperwork.
Put all that down.
Step out, turn around, face away from me.
Turn around.
I do not have to have a driver's license to drive a vehicle.
Yes, you do.
No, I do not.
Well, then you can tell that to the judge if you end up going to jail.
I do not have to have a driver's license to drive a vehicle. I have all the laws right there.
I don't care what
car.
laws you say you
I
have.
know that you don't care because you're
Then
supposed to be a police
then
officer.
you know
a peace
that
officer.
you should know that this conversation's over.
Right. You don't care about the laws. You don't care about our rights. I live right down there.
Where's your ID out of, or your license out of?
Mississippi.
I just thought you didn't.
This is ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. We're not going to play any of these games with you tonight.
It's not a game. This is my rights as a,
It's not
as a
your rights.
citizen.
It's not your rights.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. You're in the state of Florida. The state of Florida requires you to have a driver's license to operate.
Let's go to the next one. Let's see. What does the next one do? Oh my God, these people are just wild. Okay, let's see. So she goes on, and she's still in the cop car. Let's move on to the next one and see. Okay, here, and I think she got arrested. Okay, here's the next one. Here we go. Here we go. Nice. Let's go.
You ran through that red light.
Oh, I did.
You did, yes, sir.
It wasn't yellow?
No, sir. It was solid red. Yes. Do you have your license insurance?
No, actually, we're not going to do that. So,
Sorry?
I don't know how to explain this to you, but I don't need to give you any identification.
Okay. Yes, you do. I'm requesting for your driver's license. Okay. So we're not doing this. Okay. I'm requesting for your driver's license.
For what? What crime was committed?
Because I'm conducting a traffic enforcement.
What crime was committed?
You broke a traffic enforcement. You ran through a red light.
That's for CDL.
I'm sorry? Okay.
I'll let you go. I'm not stepping out of vehicle. That's not happening. That's not happening.
Sir?
That's not happening. Take your hands off of me.
Step out from me.
I'm not stepping out. I got a dog here too. Call for backup, bro.
All right, step out.
I'm not getting out. You're not telling me what I'm doing. No, you damn straight we're not.
We're not doing this.
Get your hands off of me.
Step
Get
out.
your hands off of me.
I'm telling you one more time. Step
Who do you think
Step
you are?
out.
Don't do that with the dog here.
Okay, then don't do.
Who do you think you are? Well, she's a police officer and she's lawfully stopped you, and you're going to start your bullshit sovereign citizen. Here we go.
Do it.
Don't do this.
Don't do it with the dog.
Step out.
Don't do it with the dog here.
What does the dog have to do with it?
What are you doing?
Get the out of the car. Get the out of the car. Get the out of the car.
What are you doing?
Out of the car.
Uh-oh.
Get your hands off.
Now the dog's upset.
That's my dog.
Yeah, I can know that.
Now the dog's going to have to go to the pound because of him.
The man's dog gets out of the car, clearly concerned. So deputies make sure it's safe in the car as they take Melanson into custody.
I can't believe that. I can't believe you just punched me in the face.
You're 100% right. I did. You pushed my hand off the freaking.
Stand up.
Uh-oh.
Stand up.
She's funny. You know what? Let's go. There's this one that I saw today, and I was like, good God, she's good. She's good. Oh, here we go. Not this one. Hang on a second. Okay, the worst sovereign citizen ever. Look right here. And this is from Top Generality. Okay,
Why
so
are
let
you
me,
cuffing me? What the are you doing? What are you doing, girl? What the?
let me put full praise to Top Generality. Here we go.
Unbuckled, step out of the vehicle. Step out of the vehicle.
Get away from me.
Step out of the vehicle.
Not everyone agrees with the law, but these folks decided to test it in the worst way possible. These sovereign citizens push things to another level, and it's all caught on body cam. Sovereign biker tries to argue about the law with no-nonsense cops. On July 30th, 2024, officers on patrol encountered a motorcycle rider.
I just want to see the
License, your registration, and your proof of insurance, or you're going to go into handcuffs, and you're going to go to
You
jail.
know that's illegal?
It is not.
It actually is. It actually is. Can you call your supervisor? Call your supervisor down there.
Nope.
Now, you notice the one thing they all say, call a supervisor, call a supervisor. Like that's going to change anything about the damn law. It's not. Silly.
Don't call your supervisor down there.
Nope.
I know my law.
You don't want to give me your stuff?
You cannot touch me.
Okay. No, you cannot touch your stuff. Call your supervisor. Why are you cuffing me? What the are you doing? What are you doing to me, bro? I've had neck surgery. I don't care. What the are you doing? Oh my God, bro. Oh my God. Call Mayor Diesel and call your supervisor right now. You are 100% absolutely wrong for what you just did to me. I'm going to file suit. You can slow everybody down. I'm going to file suit. Call your supervisor. Call your supervisor. You just committed a crime, a felony. Okay.
Suspect refuses to cooperate and instead tries to flip the situation on the officer.
Unbelievable. You threw me. I've had neck surgery. Yep. Well, you shouldn't have been resisting me. I didn't resist you. I asked you why you stopped me. Now I'm going to sue this. Okay. Good luck. No, I will.
Yeah, he's going to sue them and place liens on their home from that fee sheet that I'm going to show you in just a minute. Here we go.
You'll win. It's $100,000 for every violation. You are touching me without your supervisor
You hear
presence.
that?
Yeah, because I'm doing my job.
$100,000 for every violation. You are touching me without your supervisor. So he's going to go to his fee sheet and he's going to file this frivolous lawsuit.
It's not your job. You're actually violating my rights. No, I'm not. And on top of that, I'm Native American. Okay. Yeah, you're not even allowed to touch me, bro. That's not how it works. You're a commercial entity. You're not even a freaking part of the land, dude. You're a commercial entity. Okay. You need to call your supervisor. You cannot. You cannot treat me like this. That's fine. I know all the biker cops and everybody, bro. You are so. Oh my God. That's funny because I'm one of them. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you can freaking treat me like that. Well, you resist me, and that's how we're gonna play games, buddy. I didn't resist you. Yeah, you did. I asked you why you stopped me, and you said you weren't gonna tell me. I did not. And then he said, "I'm gonna give me your driver's license." I said, "Why did you pull me over?" And he threw me off my bike. Oh my God!
Of course he did.
You pulled away from me. I pulled away from you.
Let me see if I can find the one with the species, because that is the funniest one. Hang on. I can't stay on much longer, but anyway. Okay, the one with the fee sheet, let's see. Oh, the fee schedule here. Okay, the court refuses his fee schedule. So this is going to be.
Okay, so Mr.
Oh,
Valentine,
benefits court audit reviews.
here
Here we
for
go.
confirmation
Court
of that
audit
jury trial
reviews.
that's scheduled for the 18th and 19th. So the question is to every, I see that you filed several motions, had a time to kind of look at generally, looks like there are some motions about evidence in there that need to be heard at the time we start trial. So we'll do that. Otherwise, all the rest we'll just hear the day of trial, get that figured out. Are you prepared to go to trial on the 18th and 19th?
No, I'm still waiting for some documents from the Office of Assigned Counsel, a request for stipulated facts, the case transcripts, bonds, and the bar numbers of the individuals of the case.
Okay,
let me ask you, how is
bar numbers? Bar numbers. Cops don't have bar numbers. Really, attorneys have bar numbers.
going to impact your defense at trial?
Because I need to go over the documents and the case transcripts, things that I've submitted and things that have been done by government officials in the case previously.
But what does it have to do with your defending against the church? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So maybe something that you want to, I'm not sure what you want to do with that. If you're thinking that governmental misconduct or ineffective assistance of counsel, or you want to make a bar complaint or something.
All of the above.
Yeah, that doesn't impact the issues as to bringing a trial forth on the charges.
Well, it does, because
We
I'm going
understand
against
that.
the state, and the state's governmental misconduct is a direct effect of how the case is turning out.
Okay, so let's put that aside. Would you be ready to present your defense?
Once I get those documents, I will be able to.
Okay, all right. And so those documents would be transcripts of the court records.
Yes.
And
A request for facts.
I don't know what that is. Stipulated facts. What do you mean by that?
I made a judicial notice over the facts of the case of what I was trying to get straight with prosecution, and none of those questions were answered as far as the legal terminology that we're using.
So what they're charging you with, or what is it you want from the prosecutor?
There's a judicial notice I made. I'll have to see the transcripts to see exactly what I put on my judicial notice, but the terminology used by the court officials are misguiding. So I was trying to get an understanding with prosecution of what exactly is being meant by the legal terms being used.
Of course, you don't get the legal jargon. And let's be real, you probably don't know the rules of procedure either, because you didn't go to law school. This is exactly why the Constitution guarantees the right to legal counsel, to make sure everyone has someone in their corner who actually understands these complex terms and can fight for their rights. Without that, you're stepping into a courtroom blindfolded.
For example, like the state of Washington and Washington State being two different things.
Okay, they're not. I see that you may think they are, but effectively in law, they're not. It's not an issue here. Let me just kind of look at some of the things you filed and see. Okay, so all right, transcript of past hearings. Something from the prosecutor that I can't quite figure out. You want information about the previous attorneys that may have represented you for
Yeah, I wanted the communication between previous counsel and the prosecution, the case transcripts, and the bonds on record and oaths of office.
Okay, of the oaths of office of the prosecutor. Who?
You and the prosecutor, and for the attorneys that I previously had.
Well, for me, you can just go to the auditor, state auditor, or in the city or the county auditor. They have everything there. Prosecutors, you can always ask the prosecuting attorney's office.
The Office of Assigned Counsel can't provide me with that.
You can certainly, ask them too. Ask them for their people what they have. I can't say.
Okay, yeah. I haven't got a response yet. I've sent the email. I've called them and sent the email.
All right. So again, you're representing yourself. Still trying to figure out how those are impediments to.
Because even though I'm representing myself, the court is still obligated to provide legal assistance.
Okay,
the
but
court
wait a
is
minute.
supposed to provide legal assistance.
Here's the thing. He says he's a sovereign citizen and that they don't have jurisdiction over him, but he wants help from the court. So he wants a free attorney, but they don't have the right to even file for him to, they don't have any jurisdiction on him. So why does he even need an attorney, right? You see how that goes? It's really crazy. You can't have it both ways. Make up your mind. But these people, good Lord. It's no wonder that most of them end up in jail when they start this shit. It's funny, you know? Let me see if I can get this to open up. Okay, open up. Here we go. All right. We'll start playing this again. And then I'm going to show you one more thing.
Either side of you, we're supposed to make sure things are done right and fairly. I can't assist you in your trial. That would be wrong because I can't assist the state either in their trial.
Don't I have a constitutional right to counsel?
You do, and we did appoint Thurston County Public Defense at one point.
So yes, they are appointed to provide legal assistance for me.
Yeah, and so
When I put in my motion, I said that I didn't want to be represented, but I still wished to have legal assistance.
Yeah,
I
well,
just don't want anyone speaking for me.
so you want standby counsel is what we would generally call it. Someone who would pretty much sit in the audience, and if you wanted to step back and ask a question of them, you can ask a question of them. A lawyer from Thurston County Public Defense. That's pretty much the utmost of what a standby does. Is that what you're asking for? Because
I'm asking for legal.
He doesn't know what the hell he's asking for. See, it's ridiculous. Oh, good God.
Assistance. It's my understanding that I have a constitutional right to counsel.
Sure.
And so I'm asking that the state in some manner provide me with someone who will assist me with my legal affairs. I don't want to be represented or received into taking one else's opinions.
Well, you don't get to kind of pick and choose how it's done. We've appointed counsel at one point, and you didn't want to do that. I could potentially, and I can't speak for the Office of Assigned Counsel. You know, they're the executive branch of government. I don't run their office. I simply find if someone is indigent or qualifies for public defense and say, yes, they can have one, and then that agency takes over. But at this stage, so.
When I was made pro se, that is what Judge Brent Buckley had discussed. He said that I wouldn't have counsel represented, but that I had legal assistance.
So now he's asking for standby counsel, exactly what the judge just offered. But did anyone catch that he called himself pro se instead of Sway Uris? Looks like Sway Uris was his jail time pronoun. And now in the free world, it's all about pro se. You can't make this stuff up.
So
I communicated with Office of Assigned Counsel. They assigned me someone.
They did?
Yeah. To help
Okay.
me. So
I didn't know
as
that.
far as I knew, that's what was going on.
All right. Have you talked then? I'm kind of wondering why someone's on here. All right. So
she's so confused.
Since
What do you
you
want?
have you had contact with that person since?
Yes, it's someone with the last name Thomas. I don't have it written down, but yeah, I've called and sent him some emails. I got him from the supervisor.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yeah, Mr. O'Connor.
Okay.
Yes. He told me
All
someone, I think Alex Thomas or something like that.
Okay.
That's someone he referred me to, and I've contacted them, but I haven't got a response back from them.
And when was that?
This was just before I got out of jail, so.
Just the end of last month,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. Okay. Beginning. All right. Well, so, all right. So we're like 10 days to trial. You haven't talked to the attorney that's.
I'm going to get off of here, but let me show you something before I'm going to show you this fee sheet. This is what I'm talking about. This is where they go out and they have this sheet with them, and they're telling these police officers, and when they stop them or whatever, listen, this is the fine you owe me now. Like, and this is where they get this is where they file the liens on their houses and all this stuff. Look at this right here. You're going to be laughing your ass off because it is funny. I'm just so shocked. How does this work? You know? Yeah, here we go. Share. Now, we get over here where you can see. You see this right here? You see this little thing right here? It's right here. Make this. Here we go. So actually, what happens is they are saying, okay, on this one right here, can we make this bigger? Does that make it bigger? Maximize. I guess it does. Okay, good. It says, being stopped or pulled over or held without probable cause of common law crime, it's $2,000 per incident. And he's going to file a lien to the person who stops him. Being questioned or interrogated per minute or proportion thereof is $500 a minute. Being asked to produce identifications, license, or registration is $1,000 per request. Okay, I know, you can't make this shit up. It's too funny. Any officer placing hands on my person without express consent, remember the person before, it's $10,000. Remember that lady? You're costing yourself $10,000 every time you touch me, right? Being handcuffed or otherwise physically restrained is $25,000 per incident. Being placed in a patrol car without notarized consent is $35,000 per mile. Being booked or processed or fingerprinted is $100,000 per incident. Being held or detained in any jail, holding, or detention is $50,000 per hour or portion thereof. Any search of my private conveyance or personal effects is $20,000 per search. And any use of my copyrighted name in all caps, corporate or fiction, is $1 million per written use. Any judge issuing or ordering against my natural person without jurisdiction is $500,000 per order. Any prosecutor filing charges against my natural person is $500,000 per charge. Any government agent filing tax liens or levy on my private property is $1 million per incident. Forced vaccination, medical procedures, or blood draw without consent is $5 million per incident. Any use of my likeness, image, or voice without consent is $250,000 per incident. Any attempt to enforce a statute, code, or ordinance against my natural person is $10,000 per citation, for each citation. Appearing before a court of admiral or maritime jurisdiction without consent is $500,000 per appearance. The total failure to honor this fee schedule and rebut within 10 days is a $10 million flat fee, commercial lien to follow. Now, this is what they were talking about when I was reading that long 27-page document. They file these liens against these people, their property, their persons, okay? Because you did everything they said is against their person, right? So they're going to charge you a fee. It is ridiculous. So this is what they say. Jurisdictional and legal basis for this fee schedule. It's the Uniform Commercial Code. All government interactions with a sovereign are commercial in nature by engaging with this living man or woman. All agents operate under commercial law and are bound by contract. Common law right of contract. A fee schedule once tendered and not rebutted constitutes a binding private agreement between the sovereign party and the government agent in their private personal capacity. The UCC 1-308, which was formerly 1-207, without prejudice. All signatures on any government form are made under explicit reservation of rights. No waiver of rights is implied. Notary protest and commercial lien authority. Pursuant to the UCC Article 9, any unpaid fees under this schedule shall be perfected as a commercial lien against the offending agent's personal property, filed with the Secretary of the State of the relevant state. Right there, they're telling you when they talk about this fee schedule, hey, when you don't pay me, when you went against, you violated me here, and you don't pay me for this, I'm filing this lien. They're giving you a warning right here. Okay? Universal adoption of the UCC. The Uniform Commercial Code was adopted by all 50 states and supersedes constitutional statutory authority in commercial matters when a sovereign has opted out of the federal commercial system. Internal Revenue Code. Income derived from sources within the United States does not apply to a non-resident, non-domestic sovereign living man or woman. The Senate document number 43 in the 73rd Congress, the first session, this is from 1933. All property of the American people belongs to the government and all citizens are subjects, from which this living man or woman has removed himself or herself by this public notice. Remember, they divorced the United States of America. Now, see, this document, this is what they take this document right here and they get it notarized and they act as if this makes it real. This makes it legal. Okay, I can do this now because this made it legal, right? So it says, section notice of enforcement. Failure to pay any fee listed herein within 30 days of the incident shall result in filing a UCC 1 financing statement in the name of the offending officer, agent, or judge in their personal capacity as the debtor, filing a notice of common law lien against all real and personal property of the offending party, referral to a common law grand jury for presentment and indictment, filing an affidavit of obligation and commercial protest via a notary, reporting of the unpaid debt to all commercial credit bureaus, and initiation of private criminal complaint against the agent in their personal capacity for commercial trespass, kidnapping, extortion, and conspiracy. All fees may be discharged via the U.S. Treasury money order, silver coin, 1 ounce eagle, or per $100 of debt, or Federal Reserve notes accepted under protest. So they get this notarized, and so what they do, they go out and they're showing you this paperwork whenever you're stopping them, etc. And they're thinking that this is legal. Right here it is. And the reason why they think this is legal is because they go to these rallies and these seminars that are held by these gurus who teach them all of this right here. And so they believe once they divorce the United States of America that they can use this paperwork and just do whatever they want to do. And they no longer are, there's no jurisdiction over them by anybody in the United States of America. That is what this whole thing was about, and it's ridiculous. And this is why the sovereign citizen is a judge's nightmare, right? Exactly is. Okay, so let me get rid of that. Just a little thing about what happens in the world of the sovereign citizen. I thought you would find that also is interesting, the fact that these people actually file these liens against these people, and they're not real, and they cause clouds on titles and everything else, and then it's up to you to make sure it goes away. I wonder how many of them have been prosecuted thinking, well, I did all the right things, why am I getting in trouble, right? It's ridiculous. Anyway, you all have a wonderful afternoon. I think that myself and Sprinkler, we're gonna come back tomorrow and do our other Gypsy Rose Blanchard story, and it's called Caged Bluebird. And this comes from part of her own words, where I saw that she talked to Melissa Moore about the name of her book being about her being a caged bluebird. All right, so we'll be coming over tomorrow. And what I did was I took this last interview that she did, and I went back and found every discrepancy with the FOIAs. It's out there. It's all out there. You can too. Just go to Into the Weeds. I'm going to give full credit to Into the Weeds. Go out there and look. You can do the same thing I did. And we're going to talk about this tomorrow. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourselves. Like I always say, go out there and hug your babies. Life is short, and our time with them is even shorter. And one thing you don't want to live with is regret. So I'm going to say goodnight, goodbye, and I'll catch you later in somebody else's chat. Bye, guys. Bye, guys.